Thanks for sticking around, everyone. We got a great third set for you today. Got Navi on one side, SSG on the other. If we're rewinding the clock to yesterday, a tough day for the Space Station boys. I mean, you at least maybe expect them to find a win over the Renegades, not able to do so. Maybe the Virtus Pro one you pushed by the side, but the way Navi are playing yesterday, SSG certainly have a tall task ahead of them here today. I'm really excited to dive into this one. The picks and bans for Space Station were certainly interesting to break down and look at yesterday. And don't forget, from the Navi perspective, this one has huge implications. They're now tied at the top of the standings with NIP. If you're looking at wins and losses, only down by 2 or 3 maps. But if they're able to win this one, they now supplant them and take the first place side. Looking over at Space Station and what they were able to accomplish yesterday, so much change in them. They actually now have a team house over here in Georgia. So a lot of the efforts, you could say, have been focused on that, having a hard time finding scrims, but certainly a hard matchup for them here today. A lot of what I look at here is Freeze God going up against Ninu, and I think Freeze God had a fine performance yesterday, but Ninu over on the Navi side is a tough matchup for him as well, and maybe that's where Space Station look to kind of exploit what Navi are able to bring to the table here. I think FRZ is certainly a capable player, a blaster that can really flex his muscles in a matchup like this where Ninu isn't quite firing on all cylinders here at this point. Nick, do you think that that's maybe where SSG can find an advantage, the Freeze God Ninu situation?
Yeah, it's definitely been tough on SSG at the moment, but I think that's really what they went to yesterday is just get these guys comfortable, man. Get them on something that they know, because keeping up with this meta, we were just talking about how hard it's going to be coming back in. I mean, you have to worry about what does VP want to pick, what does Navi want to pick. It can be so different set to set, and it's almost impossible to try and nail down as just one catch-all.
And I think for Space Station, I look towards, maybe next week. They're going to have a lot of double headers throughout these weeks, so plenty of games to catch up. But it's been a kind of a long, grindy start for them. I wouldn't say they're playing as a cohesive team yet. You could kind of throw an asterisk on it, but even still, you have to consider that these are some of the most technically talented players in all of the Premier League. So I absolutely expect them, if nothing else, to hold their own. But going up against Navi, especially on this first week back, they got their hands full in this one.
Probably hopped on the phone with Kresnik last night just to get a couple of words of advice from him and do their best, and what type of homework that they have to do today. But Navi, such a powerful team at the moment. If this goes well for them, they could take that top spot in the league, and that would be a very exciting turn of events, given how far ahead the NIP were.
That's what I'm trying to think. When was the last time? Well, because I guess NIP were undefeated for the longest time in Split 1, so I don't think since the beginning, maybe map differential like week 1, but they didn't lose until like 3/4 of the way through Split number 1, so I think up until maybe this week, they've been ahead of Navi the entire time. So Navi is going to look today to, for the first time in this PPL season, overtake NIP standings-wise. There's Mike. He's ready to jump in. He's ready to play some Furia here today. Jokes aside, though, the big conversation surrounding Navi, of course, and I brought it up a moment ago, is Ninu and sort of how he's able to mesh into this lineup. Obviously, technically very talented, but some of that team synergy is where you look for him to gain some ground. Mutu, though, yesterday, I thought he had a pretty great day. It's been a while since we've seen like a true hard carry Mutu, but we got a little taste of that yesterday.
In the Furia, I mean, to boot.
Yeah, sure, why not?
What can't this man do? It's hard to say because I believe they played it like just first out of the gate. Not to say nobody else would have played Strix, but kind of put Strix on the map yesterday. On some maps that you're not, we'll ignore that flashbang.
Even Flashbangs himself.
I don't need my eyes, brother. I'm a Terminator.
That's right.
He's been an incredible, I think, mechanical player for a long, long time. So Strix is definitely something that I think he can work with in the future, and that's something that Navi will look to lean on a good bit. But if he's going to be the source of their versatility, which has not really been the case for Navi ever, he's done a couple of things extremely well, and because of that, it's been kind of a not broken, so they're not going to try and fix it situation. But if he's going to start whipping out Furia, that's going to make things twice as hard on Space Station,
Yep.
a much taller task if they try to nail down what Navi's going to be doing and they bring out this wacky stuff like a double support.
I mean, you look at the kind of flex role. I mean, technically, you know, he is the quote direct damage dealer, and you know that would leave Ninu kind of on that blaster flex. But all of the replays we just saw out of him were on something different. You got a little Willow, you got a little Strix, throw him on the Maeve maybe even. I mean, and that makes, I think, that this Navi lineup so hard to lock down. I mean, not only is it they have this very controlling play style that they kind of follow, but picks and bans, it's so hard to lock down what they're going to bring. I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, we'll toss Lazy on the point and win the fight around him, but how they're going to be winning that is really where things can change.
They need to be winning convincingly. Taking this top spot, you know, make sure it's still a long way to go, but it makes your path at HRX a lot easier.
Yep.
They're really the only team, you know, you look at Virtus Pro at the moment, they are on the upswing, absolutely, but that first phase was just so brutal for them that it's going to be nigh impossible to climb to the heights that Navi could reach, because they had a good first split. They have a good second split here. They're going to put themselves in a very, very prestigious position going into the final tournament of the year.
And as we've mentioned, looking to take that top spot with a win here today, they would do just that. If you didn't catch the bans, Frozen Guard, Ice Mines, gone, Frog Isle, Shattered Desert, done for, as well as we jump into map number 1 to see where they're going to start doing battle here in our third and final set, not only of the day, but of the week. Serpent Beach, it is. This is a map where they played Strix yesterday, and they did it very, very well, so that's definitely on the board here in Picks and Bans.
So the biggest part of that conversation was not the sniper aspect, but Strix versus Kinessa. Kinessa's actually as popular as a niche strategy gets on this map. She's run, you know, pretty often. Her ability to rotate around the map, high to low, is very good, and Strix has absolutely none of it. So that's why we never saw him. That's why it was very, very perplexing to see it. But it works, and it certainly did for Navi yesterday. SSG should be aware of it today. They have one of the best EVs in the league, but that's something that Kinessa really struggles with. That's not a real big problem for Strix. He gets the 1-2 punch off on the Eevee, and then he moves on with his day.
And I think you can kind of copy and paste these bans from the last set. I think there was 1 or 2 times they flexed away from the Willow, and then 3 other off-tank bans, but that's not going to change this time around. Ash Barrack for Na'Vi. That scares me. Let's take a moment. Let's look in the mirror of the past and look back at that 15-0-13 game Lazy had on Barrack yesterday, and I love the post-game interview. It's like, yeah, what went into that game? You went 15-0-13, and he's like, wait, what? I went 15. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking he knows. He's just trying to get us to say it again. But a strong champion, not only for him, but just in general in the game right now. Dosup's in the post-game interview just now mentioning, there's kind of 2 really stalwart point tanks, and it's Barrack and Inara. So getting Lazy on something like Barrack, certainly very good. My eyes now in this pick ban phase go to the healer aspect. Do you feel okay giving Na'Vi a Genos in this case, who's had a huge win rate today?
Honestly, I think you gotta have that conversation if you're SSG. It was just kind of awkward in the support category yesterday with how much Fury is starting to be prioritized now, and definitely mulling over what they want to go for. SSG. They wanted. They looked at Maeve, they looked at Strix, they looked at Eevee, eventually landing on Eevee. But grabbing Inara and Na'Vi don't need a tank tells you that they don't really. They could have had 2 of those 3 picks, right? But they wanted to grab up this Inara. I doubt Na'Vi would have gone for a triple frontliner if they left Inara open.
Right.
And that's always something that confuses me is rushing to pick it. But there is that caveat of when you pick all of your damage, you sort of lay a lot of your cards out on the table.
Thinking long and hard about this one. SSG leave a lot open here in this case. The Genos still available in picks and bans for Na'Vi now. They could go the Strix as well, which Mutu played very, very comfortably yesterday, but they've already got their front line figured out here in this case. I mean, they can move that by the wayside and start to focus on some other aspects of their game. SSG do the same here. Maybe you try to choke out that last flex pick. I mean, do you maybe go double damage here? Looks like that's what they're going to opt to do with Strix and Maeve being hovered, lock down a little bit of that mobility.
Yeah, they're not super in need of the damage amp, especially with the burst ability that Strix already brings. And I think if I were Na'Vi, my plan would be to walk SSG into Genos every single game and just figure out how to beat that. It's clear that's where they're most comfortable. It's clear that that's a very good way to leverage FRZ God and just the mechanical prowess that he has.
Right.
SSG picked a ton of Genos yesterday, but it looks like they will divert into the Ying. They have, they're going to need the throughput for sure. I mean, that's one way. That's just a different way to go, right? You want to lean on your Anar? Do you want to lean on your Eevee? What are you trying to do here? But going, trying to outpoint Cap Na'Vi is certainly a bold strategy.
It's not something many people try to take on and move to the other side. You know, SSG really forged this Tyra meta pre/during MSI into a lot of successful games. Tyra's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah.
Only pick banned 30% of the time, which is still a pretty decent amount. But not something that we've seen so much of that we did, maybe at the end of split number 1. That, of course, leaves Genos open to Na'Vi. They might be feeling lucky that they grab him towards the end. A little damage amp, though, in the form of Tyra for SSG.
Certainly, and the vision will be very helpful for Freeze God. The damage amp will be very helpful for Freeze God, and it will keep Mutsu a little bit more on his toes, very aware of his positioning and getting much easier reads on when he's going to be peaking and things like that, keeping track of Maeve. Tyra definitely still brings what she brought. It's just all about, the motion of the ocean. Certain things come in and out of favor, and Tyra, she's going to live and die by the meta changing for sure.
Well, it's a game of ones. Not only is it game 1, it's SSG looking for their first win this week. It's Na'Vi looking to take that first seed. But to get underway, we'll go down to your casters.
Thank you guys so much from the desk. Really appreciate that past day. Very smoothly put as well. In this case, I'm interested to see how this Genos is going to play into Na'Vi's comp because, of course, Barracks damage can't sneak up on you, but add that with the Strix, and we've seen the damage he can do today. I'm interested to see the damage numbers at the end of this game. That much is for sure.
It's going to be a lot, I think, at the end of it. I mean, we were actually just talking about it because, we've been looking a lot of Strix as of late, but Na'Vi were some of the guys who were pulling it out before anybody else, just testing it in the waters. And this has been a sniper map for a long time. Mutsu, it's not too surprising to see him go for it. On the other side, though, it is the Tyra meta, I guess, here for SSG. They couldn't catch up to what everybody else was doing, so they said, screw it, we'll go back to what we did best. And so this is going to be kind of the clash of two metas.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, too, because we're going to see the power it is that really, what does it come down to? Does it come down to Tyra's damage and the power it is that it can have, or will Genos' overcome throughout this match? But we already see Mr. Sadaka already pushing up a little bit too far, eating a lot of damage as well. Mutsu giving him that respect. One of his teammates peeling back. Spunky trying to help him out, gives him the Void Grip, but the first blood will go to Freeze God in this case.
And right now it's a dangerous game. Ninu going to get caught out as well. So Phoenix and Ninu both going to get eliminated here, which makes it a lot easier to get aggressive onto that Strix, and aggressive they will be. SSG have dialed this one in.
That's for sure. But Lazy, however, doesn't want to go down without a fight. Finds the kill on the Freeze God. Ares might be the next one in this case. He is 2v1 right now. Ash shoulder bashes right in. Lazy pops him, makes sure he can finish off that kill right there, meaning that Sadaka in this case, Khan, has to back up and give them the respect that they deserve in this case. And Nara trying to find her way in. Still mounted, but just currently dismounted.
It's going to be a lot of questions. Good shot into the back line for the dismount, but also just for the poke. Kind of keeping Rachao under wraps as well, making him kind of play around Waterfall in a not awkward but uncomfortable position. He's not able to be on the objective as much as he would like, and there's not as much ground here gained for SSG as I'm sure they're hoping this pressure will give them.
That's for sure. However, we already see Freeze God and Sadaka already rushing Phoenix in the back line, trying to capitalize on that mark it is that is put onto him. Mitao finishing him off. The overpower actually does end up going through. Misses though, but Freeze God makes sure he cleans up a kill in this case. Him and Sadaka now moving to the back line. They find one on the Ninu as well. A double for Freeze God with another in the works for Sadaka in this case. 3 are down, 2 currently respawning, 1 just came up, and a point on the board for SSG.
And I love this. I mean, the thing they've done that is major difference, not only are they kind of going just back to the meta that they were pretty dominant at already, but they put Ares back on something he has shown himself to be very prominent on. That's one of the biggest things yesterday. Freeze God would be hit or miss, but Ares was almost always a miss in every game we saw yesterday. So putting him on something where we know he can be consistent, SSG kind of dial that one in, and that makes it a little easier to maybe go up against Na'Vi.
For sure the crossfire comes through along with the time and space, but the damage coming out on the Phoenix is going to be enough for them to melt. Dome Shield dropped on the point, allows Lazy to catch a kill onto Freeze God. But in this case, both the two of them, Sadak and Ares, go around the side, meet Lazy there in orange, and find the kill necessary to make sure they can pick him off and keep Natus Vincere on the back.
Now, the biggest thing it seems to be is that Na'Vi just don't know how to handle exactly Freeze God right now. He's the one kind of running rampant. I mean, 5 and 2, they've been able to knock him down a couple pegs, but he's the one running away with it. And Ninu on the other side is not having the kind of matching performance you expect out of a Mave in this one-on-one with the flanks. And so finally being able to kind of get some more kills on the board, keep things calm here for Na'Vi. SSG are playing to their strengths, and I think they recognize that.
A couple of kills on SSG, like you had just said, Gore, are going to force them to really just back off. We see a Nara going around here on the side, a couple, well, really just one shot. Signal shot from Freeze God. Going to allow and really just force this Ashe to back up a little bit, but the overpower on the Lazy throws him right off the side. They managed to find the kill it is they need, and now we see Sadak going around the side, but didn't know there were a lot of people that were still above him. Goes right back in the orange room, tries to make sure he can give himself a little bit more health and out of combat healing. In this case, there are 3 individuals above him, unbeknownst.
Looking for the angles. And that's kind of the big question for Na'Vi. Where do they go? How do they fight it? This is a good map for SSG, a good comp for SSG, but it's been stalled out right here. 17 seconds left. They're contesting as they're walking it forward. Without Lazy, it might be able to kind of roll its way in, but they lose 2 in the process.
Oh, yeah, with a third potentially going down. In this case, we already see that Natus Vincere, okay? Na'Vi already picked off 3 individuals on SSG's side, going to force Sadak to back off. Battle Shout gives some immunity, but they will be able to defend in this case. Natus Vincere still has plenty up their sleeve. The Dome Shield already went down to Lazy earlier on in that case, but I will have to see again once we actually get back in the game. He does not have it. He is close, though. That's what I thought.
5, 4, and 3. I mean, he's getting most of the kills for his team. Mutu's putting the damage out, but Lazy's cleaning him up. Ninu trailing behind there. But much as you'd expect, I mean, Na'Vi with a Genos, a Luminary behind them, absolutely should be in the position of top damage. And the top 3 going that way. A lot of resilience coming out for SSG, looking to deal with the CC that is going to come. And there's a hefty chunk of it. It's going to deal with a ton on the side of Na'Vi. You're looking at Midnight, you're looking at the Assert Dominance, you're looking at Void Grip. Pretty much anything and everything you want going to be affected by that, so it's going to be a worthy buy.
Spunky all the way here on the back line, just tossing out his heals every now and again, flashback to force Sadak back since he literally can't see, doesn't know where it is that he is currently in this point in time. He is sniping the illusions, making sure that he gives some space and allows them not to be as healed or as comfortable as they are pushing them up currently. A couple shots here and there, blink and soar away. Gets another shot on the Lazy right there. Is not going to be enough, though, to find really an opening, but Ninu and the rest of Natus Vincere are really just trying to push in right there. Mutu getting the kill on the mid-tower. That's going to mean a lot. Throws Ashe all the way back, manages to slink his way into the water, the depths below, but Mutu find a double kill for himself with Ninu. Another one, well, really 2 in this case total, managing to actually clutch that out for his team, while the payload was pretty much being capped by Spunk.
Yep, and they grabbed that one, start moving forward. And they made the proper adjustments. The only thing that really could have changed throughout all of that was Phoenix. You saw him kind of going for the dash, and for anyone who doesn't know, Ashe, whenever she activates Shoulder Bash, if she's in the air, immediately, like a magnet, drops to the ground. And there's certain moments, especially with Overpower, if you get access to it and you can spam it fast enough, you could potentially save yourself from going off the map like that. Phoenix tried it, but it came down a little too late, wasn't able to stay on the map. And that's literally the only improvement they could have made in that fight, was just to make it a little cleaner at the end there.
Illusory Rift is used to pretty much keep the rest of everybody on SSG juiced up to make sure they can do stuff like that, where Freeze God and Sadak are both running down Phoenix. They do get the kill. Ninu on a couple daggers. Nothing too concrete. Does find at least one of them to hit on Freeze God. Not a lot of damage, but at least a healthy chunk. Mutu really just positioned it away. That'll make it hard for them to punish him for peeking out a little bit too far in this case. Lazy pushing that payload. Mutu, first shot rings true.
The question is, how many shots can he continue to ring true?
Right.
It's just that pressure that the sniper is going to bring has to be massive, and it can't just be around the objective. It has to be around all aspects of this. Otherwise, not only is it just a lot of pressure on Ninu, But you also have to recognize that they're going to be fighting a 4v5 unless Mutu is felt. And it's moments like that, right? You need someone who's able to hit that shot on a freeze god, and he just doesn't quite have the right angles.
That damage mark meant a lot, dude, that Aries put on the Lazy right there. The shot coming out from Freeze God, along with the focus fire from his team, was not only just enough to do the damage, but it netted them the kill in this case, thanks to the damage amp from Aries. Lazy's already back, though. We see that Freeze God's trying to have a few shots on Mutu. Both him and Sadak already in the back line, trying to make sure they punish Mutu for being in a spot like that. Dome Shield goes down, though, by Lazy, and that's a huge commitment to make now that we only have 20 seconds left on the clock. He finds the kill, but it's not going to be enough to keep them.
10 seconds left means probably no overtime here as Na'Vi get knocked back. And I did jinx us. Between games, I was saying that there was no way that we'd be seeing 4 threes come through again because it just felt like SSG might be outclassed, but lo and behold, we're on the right path to get there.
Indeed, we already have a 2-2 tie currently in terms of scoring, but that doesn't mean that, once again, neither Na'Vi or SSG are out of the books. The only thing that we really have to be concerned about, that I will be concerned about on Na'Vi's side, is that Dome Shield was used to try and capitalize on a potential pick that might happen, but nevertheless, it wasn't enough to hold Natus Vincere's push. And in this case, we have 2 ultimates online. We have the Midnight, we have the Assert Dominance. Through time and space is getting there, but look at SSG. Look at how many ultimates, actually all of their ultimates that are currently online coming into this next fight, going to play a huge role against Natus Vincere.
I mean, Midnight at this point, Assert Dominance, both, I mean, they matter, but they're not going to matter as much. Resilience, again, is a big buy for Space Station, and so being able to just get that one item online is going to help them deal with 2 ultimates on the side. Crossfire's been popped. No kills coming out of it, though, so Aries able to maybe spread some poke, but not do too much. Illusory Rift was popped as well. Still not finding too much other than just keeping the tanks alive.
Yeah, however, Phoenix, one of the first frontliners to fall in this case. Freeze God getting another kill onto Ninu. Lazy being forced to back up the wall, though, to prevent him from running away any more further. Hunter's Mark right onto him, make sure that Aries able to clean it up, but at the same time, Freeze God did get the damage that they needed, 60% onto the point already and steadily climbing for SSG.
And you just need better shots from Mutu. I mean, it's got to start making a difference. He's got to start hitting things, and it needs to be able to find kills. They're just not seeing too much come from him. A beautiful, well, attempted Assert Dominance there from Phoenix. Ends up landing flat on his face and melted down. Lazy gonna be the next one to come through. Is that one's it's just not connecting here for Na'Vi.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I think what got me
Seismic
just what got me was that I heard Assert Dominance was like, okay, Phoenix is trying to go over the wall, but I think it was his limped, stunned body that was just following all the way through, just all the way over the bridge into the point to allow them to pretty much burst them down in that case. Very well played by SSG. I mean, I'm impressed. Yesterday, they weren't looking so high. Now they're 3-2 against Natus Vincere.
I mean, I'm going to take it with the credence. They're playing their meta, and that's kind of the biggest thing is we've talked about that, and we've heard so many teams say this through interviews. But sometimes, who cares what's meta? Play your game, and that's what they're doing right now. And that's honestly the big difference maker. If you get Freeze God having this kind of performance, Na'Vi just don't know how to deal with him. It's always been one of their weaknesses. It's always been one of the reasons that SSG's maybe had their number. If they can kind of keep knocking on this door throughout this set, then they're going to open it up a lot wider. They might be able to find themselves more than just a map, but they still have to get through that hurdle first. A good crossfire there. Maybe if Aries was able to live a little longer, could have changed that, but a lot of streaks getting burnt out here for SSG.
Yeah, both Lazy and Ninu find the kills as they need. Rachel jumps off on the side, of course, just to make sure that he doesn't really get staggered out too bad. Wants to make sure he can regroup with his team, reformulate a plan. In this case, both Sadak and Freeze God. Waiting around the corner. Freeze God taking his time, really biding his time. They have 1 minute, 5 seconds left. They've got plenty of time to decide what it is that they need to do or how they want to approach this in this case. Mutu getting a shot on the Sadak. Nothing concrete yet, though.
Trying to find the angles. I think that's going to be the phrase I've said the most this game, because that's all that Mutu can really do is look for all those different parts. There's going to be an overpower into an Assert Dominance staying on the map as of right now. Khan going for the dash off, and well, everyone's going to end up trading out. Phoenix does fall down, but it does not get accredited to Sadak, even though it was all on their side. that Na'Vi were able to kind of burn down SSG. Very impressive kind of trades from that.
Right.
Ult for ult is probably the biggest thing. Both going to be at 10% now, probably accruing around the same rate until damage starts coming online for the con. And until then, I mean, 10 seconds, SSG don't look like they're much closer to cracking the shell.
Yeah, that's for sure. Ninu finding some daggers, and like you've been saying, Gore, Mutu was currently trying to look for an angle, trying to find an opportunity for him to get a shot in, at least force them back. But we already hear the illusion rift, and my goodness, Freeze God, 1 kill, 2 kills for him. Lazy and Mutu having to pretty much do what it is that they can. The circular movement coming out from Freeze God, just trying to spiral his way in to see if he can get some more damage off. But a double kill from Mutu, that's going to be the end. That's going to be the ending to that.
He found his angle.
Yeah,
he got up in the carry. He got up in the carry corner, put his scope on the payload, and said, "All right, this is how we're going to play this one. Let's see what we can do." And it's just those moments where it makes the difference. I mean, that illusory rift was almost 100% just meant to keep Freeze God alive and keep him running forward. The fact that he was able to still pick up a bunch of kills before going down was very prominent. I mean, 14, 9, and 10. He's doing a ton of work, top damage on his team. But you're having to put up deal with 111,000 coming down from Strix. You have now the ults online for Na'Vi. No Dome Shield, no Assert Dominance. But Midnight can set up Strix. Flashbang can set up Strix. And who knows, maybe well, never mind. I was going to say maybe Spunky can hit one. But this time it's still going to slip through.
Yeah, the fact that they ended up missing that, nothing too telling yet. They are still holding on to what it is they can, but Freeze God going in, knowing what to, man, I'm just so impressed because I'm seeing him just dive in and get these kills instantly. I don't even have the time to properly cast some of this stuff with how fast it is that he's actually moving. He's moving at light speed. My P-Brain can't keep up. All I can say is that Mutu is in the back trying to find these shots. He's hitting them on the Inara, but 60% on the point. I mean, SSG look like they're going to end up taking this one possibly.
Yeah, they're going to have to be able to deal with that. They're going to have to get some Cauterize out there as soon as they can. Stop Rachao. And they already stopped Sadak. They stopped Ares. There's Rachao on the list. So Na'Vi taking this one back.
Yeah, I mean, they do get the daggers on the Freeze God. There's no kill on him yet, though. He tries to go in, stall just a little bit longer, but it's not going to be enough. 2 people already on the point. The rest are going to try and zone. Now we only see 1 person on the point, which I would assume in this case is Spunky Phoenix on his way back. Mutu trying to make sure he can be in a position with these dismounts, and Lazy holding the point. Puts up the shield, make sure Sadak and the rest of them can't hit him.
Going to be dancing around. Will just have charged up the Dome Shield, and with 99%, they're going into overtime. I wouldn't be surprised to see him drop that just to maintain ground and kind of keep SSG from touching down.
However, with 2 kills already on the board, the 3rd already being there, we see that the Seismic Crash is trying to be used. Freeze God gets a few shots in, but it's not going to be enough. He's not going to have the last word, had the last shot, but Natus Vincere in this case win game 1.
A very strong win. Mike walked by through the 4-0 just to make sure we know what they are looking for. And that's the important thing right now. SSG, that was very close from them to being able to take a map. A 4-0 here is what Na'Vi wants. That escalates them into first place. That gives them 29 maps. If they drop 1, they're at 28. They'd be tied with NIP. Any more than that, and they're still going to be sitting in second. So they're looking for the 4-0. Yeah. And right now, they've started with their best foot forward to be able to find it. It took them a little while to get there, but they got there.
I mean, yeah, and get there they did. Game 1 in the books for Natus Vincere, but right after this break will be game 2.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for sticking around. Game 1 in the books, 7 points yet again. It's been the day of contested games. Na'Vi, though, coming out on top of this one. And if you're tired of just watching Paladins and want to jump in, now's actually a great time to do it. We got the Time Warp event going on right now through September 26th. We got 30-something days of rewards if you started a few days ago when it began. So plenty of time to jump in now, though. Plenty of exclusive skins, or sprays, excuse me. Lots of good coin rewards, a few chests in there as well. So make sure to jump in every single day, something new on rotation. It's going to be a lot of fun. Game 2, though, Nick, about to kick off here, reflecting back on Game 1. Another look at Mutu on the Strix on Serpent Beach. Now a couple of data points, as we like to put it. Apparently it's good. Yeah,
definitely still a solid pick. Getting in the face of it is always the problem. And with the inherently weakness of the sniper class to a flank class, covering that up for yourself, normally you have to be babysat by a healer or something like that, but
yeah,
it's a really, really nice way to slice it if you can just handle it all on your own. Huge damage numbers from, frankly, a lot of people on Na'Vi.
I'm trying to see. 82K is the highest for SSG. 3 members higher than that for Natus Vincere.
Mitau did all he could, too. Look at that.
Mitau was in there. I mean, 1, 6, and 22 for him. FRZ at 16 and 10 was certainly in the fray. Mutu, 11, 7, 13. Not the flashiest /line. Ninu doing a lot of killing in that game. But the presence that Strix brings in the back line, I think, really turns this game around.
Right, and it's an interesting dynamic because of the Tyra pickup for me personally. With Space Station, that's the combo we're talking about, by the way. When that connects, it's just nothing you can really do.
Yep.
And Tyra is the tankiest damage dealer in the game. I think the only one now with the 2400 base HP. Still has the health card to push it to 2600, right. Has innate life still, has all of the things you would think she would need. She even had the mid-range kind of advantage over the Strix, but Mutu just cracked her in the face, and there's nothing left to say there. The vision wasn't quite enough. I think it helped a little bit. It wasn't quite as overwhelming as it was yesterday. It's clear that Space Station has begun to already kind of get in the swing and be able to slow Na'Vi down a little bit, but still losing their map pick is not a great way to start the set.
Maybe needed a couple games to knock the rust off there. Without diving too deep back into it, I was kind of surprised to see Genos 10th picked in this one. SSG not only leaving it open, but electing to go Ying on their side as well. Is that a misstep maybe in your eyes?
I'll be happy to be wrong, but I think Na'Vi are really, because they picked it so much yesterday, again, I think they're trying to lead them into that, and it just didn't happen, so they said,
I said no.
Okay, well, we'll take it, I guess. Again, Mitau basically doubled Spunky's healing, and it just didn't matter.
True.
Part of that is having a hard pocket healer versus just the widespread low burst throughput that Genos brings, as well as the healing amp naturally built into Inara's kit. That can sometimes skew the numbers, but that is doubling. That is 200,000 versus 116K. That is a big performance from Mitau. Normally that helps, but can't get her done this time.
Well, everything else notwithstanding, Genos gets another win in his column for today. Willow, so typically banned out, not banned out this time around. Torvald, Atlas, Makoa, and Ash. Ash is the one that's really taking that Willow spot in the ban column. And Na'Vi are going to pick her up here. Ninu, so good on any of these flex blasters. Willow, certainly no exception for him. Na'Vi, almost, again, I mean, if you're right in this case, they're picking Furia right off the bat, saying, please, try to pick the Genos. That's not going to be the case, because they picked themselves a Genos. Spunky's laughing. A little less healing for him to do in this game. Willa, Furia, Genos. That Inflame stacked with the Astral Marks. Plenty of damage amp for Na'Vi.
Well, we'll have to see what they go with on the front line. Obviously, looking at the bans, Atlas, Makoa, Ash, Torvald, all taking a seat, meaning that there's not a lot left to choose from, but there is one of the few Ruckus players on Na'Vi's roster. So I think an Inara Ruckus is probably, given how they played this yesterday, where they will go. And I think that helps cover up a lot of Ruckus's weaknesses. You give him more damage amp, you give him more sustain out there in the battlefield. I think Cassie's the right pick, because I think they can smell that one coming from a mile away. But the problem is it doesn't matter. That train has already left the station. It's already coming at you full speed. It's just about how you deal with it. Na'Vi is looking to win this 4-0.
Things changing around last time. Let's harken back to yesterday when Na'Vi was playing NIP on Bright Marsh. They went Furia Genos in that game, but had Khan, Barrack, Eevee as the other 3 Already 2 of those pieces are missing. They're going to grab the Inara this time around. Willow, you can maybe throw in that category. You ask for it, you get it. Inara Ruckus round this one out. Same map, same healers, different pieces sort of built around them. But they won 4-0 against NIP with this yesterday. You got to feel good about their chances here again.
I mean, it's just there's just so much raw stats on Na'Vi, whether it's HP, whether it's shielding, damage reduction, auto attack damage. It's just a lot to deal with, man. SSG certainly have their work cut out for them here. I'm very scared of Ruckus. When he is allowed to be as aggressive, when you don't have to really think about it, that's like the key to this strategy, and that's like the core of the thought process behind it. Is if our frontliners don't have to pick and choose their battles, they just pick every battle every single time, and most likely to win it would be Ruckus in this situation. He's a very simple kit. All it is damage and some mitigation, right? And you either have enough of it or you don't have enough of it. And this composition is to make sure you have enough of it every single time.
That's right. Well, Lazy yesterday in this composition went 15-0-13 on Barrack. We'll look to do more of the same in game number 2.
So Ruckus is somebody that Nick is worried about, which I understand, but I'm more so concerned about the damage we saw Willow do earlier when she was just allowed to be picked on this map.
Yeah, no, Willow can run rampant here.
Yeah.
And honestly, SSG yesterday didn't seem like they had the best track record for taking her out of the sky and for knowing how to deal with her. So maybe not looking too bright on their side of the map as it comes through. But I'm going to poke a hole, unfortunately, in what Dave said. While I think the Barrack can absolutely do incredible, I'm not sure Lazy is going to be the one going 15-0 on Inara. It's just not her style.
Yeah, I definitely can see.
You never know, though. Lazy can bring
true.
out some surprises.
That's true. That's entirely true. I mean, then again, if he has a second 15-0 or just a never-dying game, then I would have to say that Lazy just is insane. He's literally the exact opposite of what his name would entail.
Definitely not going to be that lazy of a guy. No, he is very much into it. I don't know where to go with it other than he is not lazy. I'll just leave it at that. Put a pin in that one. It's SSG right now. They're at 50%. They're in control.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Ninu just kind of doing her.
Yeah, I mean,
but not the right way.
I mean, and also Mutu. I didn't realize he was actually. Wait a minute. I don't know what's happening.
Wait, what?
Wait, hold on, guys. Wait. Hold on. Okay. So SSG has 75% on the point, which I completely. What's happening? Wait, what are they doing? Wait, they actually all
I was so focused on literally everything else that the Furia next to Genos didn't bother me. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm bothered. Consider me bothered. I am upset. I don't know what's going on, what the plan is. I can kind of see it. I agree with it with IO, like the way Renegade's been running it. And Furia, it's not, I mean, she does a lot of damage for a support. She has a lot of stuns. It's really good to have the damage amp, and technically, in this case, you can look at his double damage amp. Not sure it's going to do what they want it to do. And again, I think now we're looking at pressure being turned on maybe even higher here for Ninu to perform, because otherwise his team has nothing.
Sadak already goes down, but FreezeGod and Rachel finding 2 kills of their own, but Phoenix with the double might be enough to open up the door for... Okay, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... 4. There we go. Quadra kill. Sorry, I don't... This is so weird to me right now, because it's like, at first, Na'Vi just were literally running... They all literally ran in one by one, literally one by one, into the back line, and now... Phoenix with the young Quadra kill, Spunky giving the Luminary buffs out to as many people as he can, like Paladins Oprah in this case, and Phoenix goes down thanks to the overpower. I mean, this game has been full of surprises, actually.
Definitely want to keep your eyes on. Inflame's been popped here, Ninu, 437 health, but still playing the blaster herself in Willow, and she has been just dominant lately. I expect this to level out for Na'Vi as they kind of figure out what they're doing, but it's definitely a jarring take, I believe, to see the Furia come through. I mean, Mike's not playing, so Furia being played by not Spunky is already pretty impressive.
Oh, here he goes. Speaking of that, which, I mean, Phoenix, Spunky giving out these buffs with a Void Grip. mention his name, he will hear Spunky with the very, very nice void grip in this case. We really see that Mutu's already running them down. I'm so confused as to why he pushed in that case, but we're not going to talk about it too much. It's okay. Ninu and Phoenix are both cleaning up the competition in this case, definitely getting the shots that they need to. They're just looking for a really aggressive play. This is very interesting. Lazy's pretty much all the way up in front, like sort of by himself in this case.
I mean, at this point, it's just the defense, right? I mean, it's
right.
Everything they've wanted. They get aggressive, this aggressive, because if they die up here, it doesn't matter. They're going to respawn in time to be able to defend the payload, whereas SSG have to kind of dump anything and everything to try and win that fight. They're just playing it the appropriate way, a very standard defense there from Na'Vi. Granted, with a very unstandard composition, still looking really good for him. The triple kill that turned into a quadra kill here for Phoenix is, well, Rachao recognized what was going to happen. He was either going to go down the good old-fashioned way, he could expedite the process thanks to the deadly water surrounding Bright Marsh. But that's the play. That's the tech for Na'Vi, right? You got to get Phoenix in there. He's got to go big. Ninu's got to go big. And other than that, you're looking at the double damage amp. I mean, Spunky, through time and space, is going to come up. He's going to be able to find that shot. But you're looking at Inflame and Mutu hopefully being able to charge his passive enough to hit those shots a little harder, a little faster. And those moments will make the big difference. But otherwise, Ninu is the shoulders to stand on.
Spunky all the way here in the back. Might be trying to look for through time and space. He knows that they're both up there, but he's not committing to it too crazy. He's not just overly committing to it in this case. He's giving out the healing here and there. Definitely getting a few shots. Ninu doing most of that damage, and Spunky helping him out just a little bit. Throws a dead zone directly on the point, but he knows they're all grouped up there in that case. And the seismic crash comes through, followed by Dread Serpent, but you threw it right onto Anar. Is just going to eat it, walk straight through it, have no issue with it, and the rest of Na'Vi are pretty much just going to wait back a little bit.
Hexafire charged up, Inflame available, so even though they're kind of bouncing back and forth between control around 42, 45 here, expect to potentially see that Inflame come through and turn things around. Hexafire, it's going to be put on pause here since Phoenix got put on pause here for a little bit longer. But Inflame going to come out. They're looking to get aggressive.
Inflame indeed does come through to give him everybody just a little bit of extra damage, supports and all. Really, Ninu right here trying to take the higher ground just by docks to make sure get some of that Blast Flower passive off. That Blast Flower tile, and the Hexafire, though, comes around the side. The Void Grip at the perfect moment, followed by the stun to make sure they definitely get that kill on the Sadak, but the other off-tank falls as well. 82% on the point. Dome Shield dropped down to make sure that they can get what they need to. The Enlightenment comes through, gets the kill on Ninu. Now the rest of Natus Vincere, the rest of Na'Vi, really just going to have to give him respect, back off a little bit. Lazy goes down, daggers come out from Aries, Sadak finds the kill, Freeze God finishes off Spunky, and that's going to be enough to net them point 2.
And that's actually a moment I'd love to be able to peek at the items, just to be able to break down a little more. Cauterize. Just Cauterize 2. Nothing crazy on 4 members here, but it's 4 members that have it. Lazy, Inara, not necessarily known for getting a ton of healing from Genos. So you don't necessarily need Cauterize as heavily against her, right? It's obviously going to help. But it's where Mutu's coming in. They have almost no healing. And the problem with double support compositions is that Cauterize hits you twice as hard. All of a sudden, 2 of your champions have abilities that admittedly just feel like they don't matter. I mean, anytime Lazy's in the fight for a mid, one shot from anybody except for Midtow on that team means he's not going to get healed by almost anything, and that's only with the 60%. Now you have 2 Cauterized 3s coming online. I presume by the time the round ends with the 1,500 credits, the 1,300 credits Rachao and FRZ God have, they're going to max those out. You're going to feel it, and it's going to hurt a lot more next round.
Right, that's for sure. Lazy being forced to pretty much walk up to the point. Testing is happening, but through time and space tries to find something, or at least make sure he can see in this case. Phoenix actually does come through with the kill on the Sadak, which is going to be good. We see that Ninu's dropping down as well. Minute 10 still left on the clock. So even if they don't manage, I mean, even if they do manage to get the kills onto Space Station Gaming, which is exactly what Na'Vi are doing, then they're still able to capitalize on it at another time since there's a minute remaining on the clock.
And they have Mitau back on probably one of his most comfortable supports when it comes down to it. I mean, a lot of these supports are phenomenal at Maldamba, but being able to kind of shoo him out of the meta created some kind of chasms. I mean, he brings a lot of CC, a lot of control for his team, And unfortunately for SSG, that meant some trouble. This time around, though, it's working out.
Yeah, I mean, a full-on team wipe against Natus Vincere. Now, I hope they can make it. Not necessarily that. I'm not going to say that. Not going to say that I hope they can make it a 4-0. But in the case of, it would be really cool to see somebody in the first seed spot. That much is true. But SSG are here to play. And the reason why I'm so impressed is because, like I said, I already said it before on Separate Beach, but I'll say it again. They were not playing like this yesterday. They were playing well, but then again, they were months from practicing in this point. But they're looking really good right now. FRZ got fit, sitting at the top with 95,000 damage, is insane.
Oh, yeah, and he's one of the best Leons. It's really weird because you don't, at least I don't personally, think of Leon when I think of Freeze God. I think of Eevee, I think of Bomb Kings, I think of Blasters.
Right.
But his Leon is phenomenal, and I mean, just showcasing it right here, not just the damage, but the 15 streak, but this Fae Flight should be maybe an opening and closing door here. You need way more kills. You need Ninu to go big.
Ooh,
but
boy.
Phoenix is the one that dies.
Oh, followed by Spunky, the presence to be able to use that. Just in that exact moment, New Spunky saw him caught out, and they do find the kill. SSG are looking great right now with a couple daggers coming out from not from Sadak, from the Mave in this case. Sadak is the one that's pushing up. Void Grip to come through along with the Hexifier. Doesn't find the kill, but he is so unbelievably low. They use the Dread Serpent to make sure that he does not die. The rest of his team, Midtown, make sure that he keeps him alive, not only with a good placed ult, but also with some good healing. Well, actually, will not be able to even really make it back. I don't even know if they can in this case. Ninu's down, Dome Shield dropped. And in this point, I don't know if they can actually do anything to make themselves win.
I mean, they're trying to. They're looking to get in and touch, but Lazy's incredibly low. He's getting body blocked in the process. The wall kind of against him there.
Yikes.
As they try anything and everything, but definitely not a conventional draft there. And this is where I think something for Na'Vi comes through. They're not a team that is, I mean, they could presumably change that Furia around, pick something else that's really good for Mutu, and stomp 4-0. But they've been a team, very notably the last few weeks, recognizing we need more metas. We need more in our pocket, more under the belt that we can pull out. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a testing set, testing grounds for them, specifically because when they get to the world stage, they are going to be tested by everybody. You have to be able to pull out anything and everything to make, I'm sure, all the bells and whistles work for you. And so first place doesn't matter. You just need to be top 4 to qualify. They probably want it, but they don't need it.
Right, exactly. I mean, unfortunately for Na'Vi, they won't be getting the crisp 4-0 that Mike was trying to prophesize to us. However, it is now 1-1, Game 3, right after this break.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
Walking tall while you're alone. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better. When I look at what I've done now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better.
Well, SSG matched their win total from yesterday against Na'Vi, no less. Big performance out of Sadak there on Brightmarsh ties things up. And this is a whole new look at a set, I think, Nick, in that I think you could come into this one and say, all right, well, the way SSG played yesterday, you lose to Renegades 4-1, you lose to Virtus Pro 4-0. Cakewalk. I even said it on the desk at the beginning of the day. SSG, I think they've kind of knocked some of that rust off from yesterday, feeling a little bit better. Don't want to call things too soon, but this could end up being a very, very contested set.
This phase is going to be a matter of how quickly they can race back into relevancy. We'll have to see how it goes, and the most surprising thing about this victory is how fast SSG were able to do it. I figured if they were able to do it, it's because they just survived the early game and then were able to kind of turn that corner later on. But very surprising to be able to take down a composition built on sustain and mitigation in the early game.
I mean, who can't you look at on SSG this time around? 11-3-19, 5-3-18 for Richau, 9-7-9 even. Mitau, great kills to assists. 9-6-12, that's where my eyes go for Sadak. Not necessarily that it's the flashiest slash line in the game, but just the presence that Khan demands probably as a character.
Nice grab.
And also just Sadak piloting him in this game.
That was very, very nicely played there. Just from a guy that had some trouble with some overpowers in the first phase. Started to build himself a little bit of a reputation, and now starting to look at maybe why this faltered for Na'Vi. You know, when you're not running it down, you know what I mean? I don't think this does super well from the back foot. You know, you want to be on the aggression. Yesterday, they were able to kind of do that much more effectively with Lazy ripping the 15-0 on Barrick. You can't ask for that every day.
It's a slightly different look.
Yeah, you just can't ask for that every day. And Space Station, a good win to grab. Weird stuff today with people taking each other's map picks, but not their own. Normally, in competitive sets, you will see at the very least each team gets their own map pick, and then things start to spice up a little bit. But very, very weird to see this go so often the other way today.
You're right. Knight's first pick. I won't run down the entire list, but Knight's Envy trade first two maps on their side. Virtus Pro Kanga trade each other's map picks, and now you look at SSG Na'Vi, same exact thing. Apparently, these first picks aren't quite as locked up maybe as we expect. Fury at Genos now, and I think you kind of said it very well. I mean, you can't expect a 15-0-13 performance out of Lazy every day. Do you think there's still some merit on the back end of a Fury at Genos composition? I mean, you lay it out very well in that, like, the frontliners have to worry a little bit less. They can really get aggressive, but is that just too cute maybe?
I just wonder if you look at SSG and you look at their weakness right now is just that they're not prepared. They can't. It's hard for them to read the meta. They're out of practice. The one thing that you probably don't want to give them is stability, and running very similar compositions on the same maps that you did yesterday. That's the only study material that they have to go off of at the moment. So Space Station Gaming, if nothing else, kind of prepared for not be throwing the same pitches their way.
If you're Na'Vi now, I mean, this is definitely splitting hairs because we've kind of determined over time that map picks maybe cater to certain compositions, but everyone should be very practiced on all of these maps. If you're Na'Vi, you just kind of get blown out of the water 4-1. You win 4-3 on the first map. With Frozen Guard, Ice Mines both banned out, Shattered Desert is gone. Do you maybe go somewhere like Splitstone, try to slow things down? Although, at the same time, I know SSG have shown that they've kind of learned how to cap on maps like Splitstone. I mean, do you maybe try to pick up the pace a little bit or maybe slow things down in this set?
I think you keep it zooming. Don't give SSG a lot of time to react and to learn and figure out what it is you're trying to do. Jaguar Falls could, ideally Bright Marsh would have went Na'Vi's way 4-0 quickly, and they could have maybe brought this one back. They could have still afforded to drop a map, get themselves back to Jaguar Falls, and hopefully have an explosive performance there. It's one of those maps that can lend itself to those quick 4-0 finishes. But Na'Vi, man, I did not expect them to be dropping games to SSG today. This is a team that should be in contest for the first seed in the league. Granted, it is still a weird strategy. It only worked the one time that it's been played so far, so I'm open to closing the door on that strategy. The double support on Bright Marsh, putting Mutu on a support versus something he can hyper carry a game with. You just look at Serpent Beach versus Bright Marsh, man. It's just a whole different story from him.
And you look at the standings coming into today. Just to reiterate, Na'Vi and NIP both tied at 14-6 on top of the standings, but NIP hold a 3-map plus-minus over Na'Vi. So if they're able to take this 3 more straight, I mean, they'll at least even up the map differential because they'll have played one more than NIP at this point. Obviously, you get into a lot of mathematical scenarios. Envy, though, you can't count them out of this one. Coming into today, they were 12-7.
Yeah,
so 2
there.
wins behind, but they grab a win. So now they're 13-7, and that race for top 3 at one point so wide. Now a lot closer. So originally it didn't look like things like map differential would really come into play. NIP dropped 2 games in the first split. Na'Vi were much more tumultuous. Now you're looking at a 3-map differential, and everything counts, especially we're right here on the halfway point.
NIP were just so far ahead, man. I figured there was no way, even with a mediocre second split, I did not think they were going to get caught. But here we are, man, NIP. And this is still with plenty of games to play, so they could fall a lot further than just first to second place if they continue on the trajectory that they are on currently with, upset losses to, people like Kanga. That's stuff you don't really see coming. That's stuff you don't really account for. So they need to clean it up for sure, and seeding is starting to come into the conversation. We still have a decent amount of games to play, but if you are far and away not in first place, second place, third place, that's where you start to actually really be cemented. It's only if you're close to these last 4 or 5 weeks matter much for you. There's a chance you could, in some cases, unfortunately, the Renegades are so far in that hole, I don't know if they're going to be able to climb out of it in 4 or 5 weeks.
And, NIP aren't playing in this set, so I don't want to harp on them too much, but when you're looking at the standings, you have to. That week 5 for them was brutal. First game in that week is Virtus Pro. They lose that one 4-1. 4-3 then to Kanga. That was that Kanga upset then on Friday. And then they come in this week. They play against Na'Vi yesterday, lose 4-3 again. NIP, after only losing 2 games in split 1, have now lost 3 straight here in split number 2. And I only bring that up just because that's a big standings flop. Na'Vi have only lost 1 in the last couple weeks. So everything standings-wise starting to flip around. As you can tell, slight delay, a little bit of an audio issue on the backside that has suddenly actually magically been fixed. We're not going to a break. We're staying right here, just filling you in on why we had a potential break on the horizon.
Dave is that fast, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you think he was here the whole time, but he insta-fixed the problem for us.
That's right.
Barry Allen with his way back onto the desk. So
that's right.
We appreciate that, Dave. Just something he brings.
Thank you very much. You snap the fingers, audio issues
Do you
notwithstanding. Yeah. I can do it all by myself.
Oh. Well,
let
me see you do it.
No. No, we crossed it. That's so bad. Without further ado, let's see what map number 3 has in store for us here. Stone Keep it is. After a 4-3 performance on map number 1, Na'Vi take map number 1, of course. SSG 4-1 answer back on Brightmarsh. Stone Keep will be... I feel like we've had map 3 tiebreakers pretty much all day today.
Yep.
Another long-standing. I mean, honestly, I would have told you going into today, Na'Vi still could be a 4-1, but I was thinking the way SSG were playing yesterday, quick and easy. Virtus Pro, they do get the win. Thought that one would have been a little bit easier. And if nothing else, that's hats off to Kanga. They're playing good Paladins. Right about now, our first matchup of the day. That one was very close as well. 4-2, 4-2 are the way both of these sets go. All that behind us, though, Stone Keep is where we're going to dive down into. Torvald banned number 1. Willow has been either banned out or picked basically across the board all day today. SSG already thinking long and hard about whether it's worth banning that one out. Not even the Willow Eevee this time around. Take that away from Ninu. And it's an interesting ban in my eyes here on Stone Keep, but opens some things up.
Yeah, the potential for Drogos is now much, much higher from either Freeze or from Ninu. And I was talking to Na'Vi a little bit in the break room about the way they thought. And, everybody kind of had the consensus today or how it was going to go. And they didn't want to jinx themselves, but they were pretty confident given the performance of SSG yesterday. But here we are, man, in game number 2. It's anybody's set. Na'Vi just thinking about those last couple of bans for sure. And that's got to be a real feels-good win for SSG.
Yeah.
To be able to see that one coming again from Na'Vi and know exactly what to do. It's like the hard work paying off, basically,
right.
Doing the homework last night. And again, without their coach now, because we stole Bobby for the casting squad, they have to kind of figure those problems out for themselves, and they don't have that 6th voice, that 6th opinion in the room.
Honestly, man, the Premier League is very fun. I'm just thinking about that right now. I mean, you get the SSG, you lose 4-1 to the Renegades, and then they blow Na'Vi out of the water. I can't tell anymore who's going to win any of these games because it's all so contested. SSG looking for an upset today over Na'Vi. Bans all locked in. It's not a Willow, but an Eevee instead. Na'Vi are going to forego the Willow, pick up Khan for themselves, which means SSG, they might get a free Willow Mave here on their side. Is Khan high enough priority to trade away a Willow and a Mave as well?
Yeah, man, pick of the litter. It's been good for Sadak. He's getting into rhythm on it, and it's also something Phoenix absolutely adores as well. So if he can keep it going for the boys of Na'Vi and make this pick worthwhile, that's why the off-tank role is so important, because you're often prioritized super early in the draft. And if you're not pulling your weight around, then you were really costing your team a lot. Willow Mave, obviously very strong here. Still some good counters on the board, whether it's Leon, whether it's Shaolin. Na'Vi have the capabilities of playing both to the highest level.
Genos might be the flavor. Stone Keep, healer-wise, as well as a Barrack. And I think that's just fine. I think that's just fine for Lazy, getting him on the Barrack. A little bit of damage yet behind that as well. Certainly a very strong combination for Na'Vi this time around. That's right now, they trade out the Willow Mave, but they're starting to put their chokehold on the front line. Now you're picking anything into a Khan Barrack with a Genos behind them. So SSG holding Willow Mave at a bit higher priority, and Na'Vi say, okay, we're going to try to do battle down in the trenches on the front line. Furia and Nara, though, plenty of health to try to work through.
Could just be a Cassie Leon here, to be honest with you. It could be a very vanilla lineup for Na'Vi. You need the Scout for the Midnight, you need the Hit Scan for the Willow, and frankly for the Mave. Both those stacking up very nicely against each other. Big game would help if you want to deal with a Nara, and I really do see a Ruckus coming at this point. Maybe an Ashe, but Sadak has loved his Ruckus in the past. This is one of, I think, Ruckus's better maps.
Was that Sadak who was photoshopped to look like Ruckus?
Yeah,
they were on the interview desk.
Yep.
Sorry, my mind went there.
After he fed his brains out, no
That's
less.
Right. Still rings true nonetheless. One of the best Ruckus players in the league, absolutely.
I'll be taking their time with this one, and it might seem all the too easy for them. But wanting that blaster presence.
Sure.
Drogo's a fine answer, I think, as well to the front lines. Obviously, Dragon Punch works the same, if not better than Big Game. It's just a little riskier. You got to get down there in the trenches. And even with officially all three talents for Drogos being running, and that used to be the conversation around him, is he was a lot of fun to watch because you could build him any way you wanted. And with Fasheko bringing out Fusillade today, having a great game but still somehow losing, that's neither here nor there, but showing that it can still be successful.
Right.
Maybe not if Rock Monkey or Ricotta is piloting the Drogos going for those directs, but if Fasheko, the full-time blaster man, he can pull it off.
Even on Stone Keep, we've seen a little of everything out of Drogos. Not Fuselage yet.
Yeah.
We have seen Worm Jets, though, and then some people opting for Combustible as well. The play style, still somewhat the same. Things change around a little differently, though. Everyone locked in here. Triple DPS for SSG. I was thinking it could be, but maybe with a Tyra at their back, but it's not going to be the Tyra. It's going to be the Strix this time around.
What is Sadak playing? Of those three, this is like one of the very few times you look at an off-tank having to play DPS and not having to be on a Cassie or a Leon. It could be Sadak. Frankly, I think he's probably the most straightforward of those three DPS characters.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Not playing him
a
lot. Willow kind of is that way, but Chiggy, you got to be careful. And how are you going to not put Freeze God on the blaster?
Well, to find out who's playing what, we're going to send it down to Game 3 and down to your casters.
Thanks, guys. I think the Strix FRZ God.
I actually think so. I think Freeze God's Willow.
Okay.
Ares is Mave.
Okay.
Sadak has to be Strix. The only reason I say that is because I've seen Ares as Strix, and I'm very tired of seeing Ares as Strix. I'm going to be honest, like as completely honest about it as I can, because it's just not his champion. Is the best way to word it.
Okay,
so Sadak is making that flex. I don't know how I feel about that, but I will admit the freshness of this will hopefully kind of take over what has been Ares. Like, he just hasn't performed well on snipers. I think it's nice to see someone else on the team pick it up.
Well, Gore, with the Master Brain with the Master Brain prediction, can come Master Brain plays in this case. Gore giving himself a little bit of fist pump.
It's the shoes. These orange Converse give me some extra power.
Gore's hyping himself up. However, I'm hyped to see how this game's going to go. We're already seeing fights break out in Church in one of the first times I have not seen somebody fight for keep.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's coming down here. Phoenix is kind of confused. He's up there like, where is everyone?
What's happening?
I didn't get the memo. Where's the fight, guys? But he's going to be coming around here, and, well, little pressure from him and some good pressure from Ninu is going to be able to open up the door for first blood. And that's the other champion I was going to talk about. I mean, for a long time, Drogos would get locked in, and this was Mutu playing it. You would have creatives maybe playing the Leon if this was, Na'Vi of old. But Ninu is a damn good blaster, and he is on this Drogos, and he's going to continue looking really good here. I expect a lot out of him just on this champion.
Might say something a little bit controversial. I just think Ninu's good.
I don't know, Fawn. That's a pretty thin branch you're standing on out there.
I just think he's just good.
This guy who's been subbing for the PPL for a while had a really good performance when he was a rookie for Virtus Pro and got called up from the minor league to play with Na'Vi. I don't know.
Well, the dicey calls coming out from me. I apologize. Lazy and Mutu finding 2 kills of their own. 99% of the point for Natus Vincere in this case. Very, very good plays from them. This is the first I've seen people start to go to keep in this case and not really conceding that high ground. A triple kill for Ninu. Just being in the right place, right time, landing the right rockets.
You just got to do it to him.
Yeah.
And he did it to him. He brought it to him about as much as he could.
He had to.
And not only did he have to, but he felt the need. He's going to keep on going. I anticipate it. The thing that'll be interesting is actually these fights. Fayflight being popped right here. You can see hovering around the bell tower. Like air-to-air shots between these two could potentially change a lot. But ultimately, you're going to see Freeze God plop down to the ground. And it definitely feels like Na'Vi have a cap on that Willow that, unfortunately for SSG, I mean, very similar to what happened yesterday, they are picking it, but they aren't playing it to the level that we've seen a lot of players sit there. And it's not necessarily Freeze God not hitting the mark as much as it is the rest of the team not standing up for the Willow to be wide open. She doesn't have the range that she normally is used to.
Yeah, we see Phoenix really controlling up here, something that you normally would see in this case. Just try to do whatever it is that he possibly can. The Dragon Punch to come out from Ninu, try to zone him as best as he possibly can.
Aggressive repositioning to hovering over a giant pit of
guess.
death. I mean, whatever you want to do.
Hey man, they're playing the game. We're just talking about it. Phoenix getting the double kill. Lazy finding one of his own. Mutu cleaning it up. Natus Vincere said, okay, you guys had your game last game. You guys did good. You 4-1'd us, but now we're done playing around. We want to play the game too.
I think, so like Serpent Beach, that's a good SSG map.
Right.
And it was a good comp from SSG. They were playing what they know best. Not surprising to see that go 4-3. Good for Na'Vi that it goes their way, right? At the end of the day. Bright Marsh was the wake-up call. Bright Marsh was the, okay, let's try this double support thing. And then SSG slapped you around with it. This is the response. Like it was the call-in response of, can we do this? No, we can't. And now they are here to bring back what they are used to, something that is more standard for them. And that's the thing is, Na'Vi are trying their best to spread. They want to be able to play triple DPS at the same level that they play this. They want to be able to maybe pull in the double support. That might be something they're working on. But at the end of the day, this is their bread and butter. This is the kind of meta they can win with. And as long as they have it going for them, and honestly, for the foreseeable future, I see it kind of holding true, they are one of the most dominant teams, if not the dominant team, to beat in Paladins for it.
100% agree with that, my good man. The Seismic Crash comes out. Battle Shot tried to make himself immune, but still went through. Seismic Crash a little bit too strong in that case. Through time and space comes through. No marks found in that case, because the only ones they were aiming for were squishy targets. However, does manage to net the overpower on the Ares, and my goodness, Natus Vincere, literally no more messing around in this case. The kill was given to Lazy, was trying to look for some type of kill onto anybody, and Ninu almost found it onto Midtown.
And that's actually a good example of something you need to see too often. He was going for the splash damage shot off of that spit, but you don't get to see this mechanic as much in the game. But if you hit someone with the spit, if it directly connects with someone, you just deal more damage against them. And that's one of the things, like that next shot, that follow-up shot onto Mitau was a hefty rocket that almost brought him down. Not quite enough to be able to go through. Most of the time you see that burst and displacement. But being able to find that burst in the single target's just as big in some of these scenarios.
Definitely a spooky situation to be in. You're playing as SSG. However, They are pushing up now. They did get the kills they needed to defend themselves. Spunky looking for a shot here, looking for a shot there, really just trying to position himself in a way that doesn't get him killed. And on the flip side of that, Lazy already in there, literally 3v1ing in this case. A good presence will allow him to take the shot as well as using the Enlightenment to finish off that kill on the Sadak. The presence did the damage. The Enlightenment took up the kill. And in this case, they're looking for another one right onto Midtown. Manages to net it thanks to Phoenix. Richau goes down immediately after that. And we're looking at a chance for Natus Vincere to push this one past.
I mean, we're only 6:40 into the game. The minute 20 left on the clock. There's still plenty of push left for Na'Vi. They should be able to hit the archway, no problem. That's where things will probably snag up, but that's where eyes will have to be on Nino. He's the one, I think, who's going to be the driving force behind the blade, right? He can be the one who absolutely opens this door for Na'Vi, but he has to find the right pick, he has to find the right angle, and between him and Phoenix, I think they can do it, but it's just getting him into the right position first.
Yeah. Oh, nice air shot. Ooh. Oh, another good one from Ninu. This is why you put him on the Drogos. Here comes the Dragon Punch. Follow through, looking straight for it. Nara finds it, but the rest of his team, unfortunately, already went down. A good few snipes from Sadak. A lot of damage coming out from Freeze God. Of course, on the Willow, Spunky running away. Time to skedaddle.
I mean, just get out of there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be in that situation anymore. I respect him. I completely understand that. In this case, Spunky really just chilling back, comes right back in, literally around the same spot they were in before. Through time and space, does land on Sadak, and that's going to be the start of something. You hear the inflame to be used defensively, but here comes the aerial battle, and Ninu, man, these air shots he's hitting are so important to winning this battle.
And it's just been consistency thereafter as well. Not only in the air-to-air, but also turning it around and just being able to find the tanks right afterward. I love the changes that Na'Vi made for that one. That one, again, was a lot more standard. What I expect when I think Na'Vi. But I'm going to throw this one out there. Even though they didn't win, and even though it wasn't very controlling or, at the end of the day, convincing from SSG there, I like that they're kind of reaching out there. Like, they're recognizing, again, back off the interview with Sadak yesterday that we watched, if you go 2 months without being able to practice kind of as a unit, try things out. I mean, triple DPS is not any, like, I do not think of SSG when I think of that. Their meta is the same meta that Envy have, that Na'Vi have. They love the kind of 2-2-1. They're very good with that. But trying things like this fresh take out, just figure it out, see what fits them the best. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, hey, you at least tried.
Yeah, it's either they go back to the drawing board with their normal composition or they keep trying things out. Regardless, we still love you, SSG, and we love the matches we're seeing. Score currently 2-1 in favor of Natus Vincere. Right after this break will be the next game.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Now, I'm pretty forgiving, but if you didn't get that one almost immediately, then I don't know what you're doing. That was certainly the easiest one yet, and Na'Vi will feel that way about Game 3 on Stonekeep. Absolutely blow SSG out of the water. You get a 4-0 under your belt, and this is when things get scary. You really need to hold your ground, I think, here in game number 4. Big game out of the Drogos, excuse me, that time around. Ninu, huge performance. Really helping push Na'Vi over the finish line there.
Yeah, really, really impactful stuff for sure. And this is a draft that kind of took a definitely a turn back more towards normalcy. No
Right.
double supports, no more of that funny business. And I think every team, it can be kind of said, but when they can get their frontliners in a position to make a lot of space. I mean, look at the guys run. 52,000 damage for Ninu, 55 for Mutu on the Leon.
Yeah.
More of the basic vanilla picks, but even then, Spunky, he can beat him on the healing charts as well. There's so much, I think, to break down there. Great slash lines, like you put it, blow them out of the water, and there's really no other way to slice that one. Some people not even able to finish their offensive items, or maybe it's Mutu just feeling like it
Sure.
didn't even need to bother.
Well, Ninu had a big game this time around. Most deaths, but you got to take that all into consideration. Dragon Punch trades, things of that nature. Starting off the game with a little bit of a triple kill is the nicest way of going about things, I think. Really helping his team seal up a lot of what they had going on. And Ninu,
The patience.
right, just hovering around. If he was, I didn't catch it. Was he Worm Jets this time around?
Yeah.
Was Worm Jets this time around. And playing it to a T, this is really where he likes to hang out. He did just that on his way to a 3.3 KDA. Beautiful flick shot there to round things out.
Definitely, man. And this is kind of wonkier from SSG in a couple of ways. When you don't get Sadak on something that is the Cassie early on, that's pretty much the way everyone does triple DPS. Because you can't really ask your off-tank to know all of these off-tank characters because, you're getting 3-4 banned every single game. Some of them get first pick, so you have to know how to play 6 to 8 characters any given day. Then when you want to throw the DPS role on top of all of that, it makes sense that they kind of stay in the lane of a Cassie early on.
Right.
Sniping is straightforward, but there's a lot of positioning stuff you need to know, like rotations, things like that, and just being able to hit the damn shot. If it's not something you practice a ton of, then
Sure.
it's not something you're going to be overly effective on. Spunky was catching him out with a couple of lasers. That's
Right.
something you have to be aware of. All these little nuances, even of the most straightforward characters, are things you got to have mastery of.
Held his own damage-wise, but unfortunately, I was about it in that one. Too much damage from the Drogos on the opposite side. Blew that triple DPS out of the water on Stone Keep. But of course, that one's by the wayside as we dive down into Splitstone Quarry. This is actually a map, I kind of brought it up in between the 2-3 flex there after SSG won on Bright Marsh. Splitstone Quarry is a map that Space Station has started to get very, very comfortable with. They were one of the first teams to really figure out, I think, the push on this map. Traditionally, it's kind of a cap defend. 0.7 kind of decides the game. That's not so much the case anymore, at least for SSG, but you imagine after playing them enough, other teams maybe start to figure some of the same stuff out.
It'll be Atlas Band away for SSG. Navi going second, and they will keep it standard as well, sitting Makoa down. Everybody's after Khan this time around, it seems, especially when you have a kind of a lackluster game on an off roll. You want to jump back into the driver's seat, and Sadak on Khan is just a way to do that. He's super good on Splitstone Quarry as well, being able to dunk people into all the map hazards at will, assuming you hit it. And he's hit some pretty clean overpowers today, so obviously a solid first pick.
He is known every once in a while for missing an overpower. We won't harp on those, but he does hit them more often than not, I would say. Splitstone Quarry, great spot for him, as you definitely point out there. Maeve being hovered here for Na'Vi, as well as the Eevee. Okay, so we might be looking at a double blaster flank for Na'Vi here. And actually, I remember pregame, technically Mutu is in that direct damage role, but when you have Mutu and Ninu on the same lineup, that absolutely makes something in my eyes like a double flex, double flank, double blaster composition totally viable.
Yeah, Mutu's pretty flexible as it goes. Not a lot of DPS players can even really be thrown into the hit scan DPS category anymore because they have to work in things like Cassie, things like Maeve. A couple of projectile characters are not bad to have in the repertoire at all. I think it's smart, obviously, to take away Genos. Barrick has been very, very solid. If not one of the most stable tanks in the meta for a long, long time, for a lot of different reasons. But Na'Vi will still be able to get that damage amp online one way or another. They're going to find a way to do it. As SSG back to normalcy here. Doesn't look like it will be the 3 DPS this time around. Everybody back to square one. But these are still very powerful picks for them. These are very, very high identifiable for the SSG lineup, the player, the champion, going hand in hand.
On the opposite side, Na'Vi still looking for maybe one more frontliner. Leon Cassie looking to be locked in here for SSG. Gonna flip it to a Bomb King. We'll have to wait and see what they end up locking in there. Will be the Bomb King. We saw a little bit of Bomb King play on Splitstone Quarry earlier today. I believe that was the Knights Envy set. It was Envy picking Bomb King 10th that time around, opting for a lot of that bleacher control. Probably more of the same here from SSG, maybe the Cassie to deal with some of those frontliners.
Well, Ash is open, Ruckus is open, and Phoenix wants to go that route, but Leon is as well now because of that last-second Bomb King switch. I see Mike laughing about something. I don't know if it's going to be a weird pick.
Fury is in meta, so you know, he's
just a happy boy in general. And it will be Ash for the final selection. Na'Vi lock it in as well. Not exactly the most standard composition here with the double flank, but there's a lot of room to breathe on Splitstone Quarry, and SSG have little to no vertical mobility to contest this.
I was going to say, I think mobility kind of reigns supreme here. I mean, they're going to be moving around too quickly. Bomb King's going to have a hard time tracking. Cassie as well. I like Navi's draft. Nick may or may not agree with me. I'm saying he does. So we send it down to your casters for Game 4.
Thank you guys so much from the desk. We are now in Game 4 in this case. Na'Vi versus SSG. Na'Vi currently up 2-1. A very interesting start to their momentum climb in this case. Stonekeep was a 4-0. And now in this case, we're seeing a Furia being drafted again, which tells me a lot of aggression.
Yeah, that's their goal. Spunky. Well, that's the face he's going to be making when he inflames. He's screaming at you, go in, for his team to just try and make sure that everything is perfectly fine for them. Splitstone Quarry, though, is a map that is very SSG. It is very much in their wheelhouse. I would put it up there with their Serpent Beach. I mean, it's just one that I don't want to say they own it, but they kind of own it. They're usually really good here.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to see if this is going to be enough for them to at least take another game in this case. At least take another game in this case. We do have the fact that both of these teams are doing the best it is that they possibly can to try and clutch these games out. They really want it. Na'Vi at least wants to be at the top in this case. They are so close, 28 to 25 point differential. If they would have made a 4-0, then they would have been able to actually surpass NIP at the top. But still doesn't mean that they can't. They're super close. We know that they want this win, and we're going to have to see if they have what it takes.
It's definitely going to be,
oof.
Well, I was going to say closer, depending on what happens to Ares. Unfortunately, that Cassie's going to get melted down about as fast as you can imagine. You credit for first blood, but Phoenix trades it out. In the meantime, it's been, well, lazy all day on top of this point. Rachel just can't get in there. He can't catch a break.
Yeah, I mean, Mutu's trying to throw a few daggers into the back of Barrick, but I mean, really, dude, like lazy, managing to pick up the kill on the mid tower. Mutu getting Sadak. Man, oh man, dude, like they're just, I mean, they're doing so well, 75% already on the point. Mutu forced to back off, so is Ash in this case. They're pretty much getting run down at this point. They really try to do what they can, but big game is a wonderful talent. Big game allows you to do big damage, and in that case, Ash was unfortunately the target.
Just being able to find that, get rid of Phoenix, get rid of some of the pressure. I mean, Phoenix was going down. He was kind of backed into the corner, but he was going to go down fighting no matter what. And he was looking for potentially the kind of swing around that you would want from him. But now you're going to have to see a touchdown. Maeve being alive means that you can guarantee some overtime, as well as Eevee being alive. Like, you have the two flanks that are going to be able to buy you the most time and the most space. There's a King Bomb going to be rolling out here, and that's danger for Lazy.
Oh, he tries to go in, and danger indeed. They do get the pick onto Lazy, but the fact they're already on the point and no one else is there means that the Inflame will fall flat, which is what I was trying to build up to, is the fact they literally couldn't get to point. However, the game paused by Phoenix now. That's interesting. I'm sure they have to work through whenever this is the case, but the Inflame did end up getting used in this case, so it's going to play a pretty big role into how they approach these next few fights.
Inflame Midnight, as you had said, you know, Scout, I guess, if you want to throw it out there. All of those had been charged up and thrown out almost immediately. So you're starting to see some of these ults come through, but SSG King Bomb buys them space. Lazy was already pushed back, so it was just a don't come in this area kind of ultimate. And that's the biggest thing for Splitstone Quarry is buying that amount of zoning that you can grab. And specifically for SSG, while they don't have the vertical mobility, they can control that mid fight. And I think they might be looking at this as a man, if we're going to go 3-3,
Correct.
we're going to close it out here.
Yeah, I mean, what else could you say about it at this point? Because of the fact that the Inflame was used, that does suck. But you made a very, very good point. The Bomb King was used to pretty much zone, make sure the rest of them actually couldn't get into the area itself. But if I believe correctly, I heard that we were doing a really quick restart real quick, just making sure that everything was checking up, everything was going fine in this case. We're already back into it in this case. We see, and currently the 1-0 is there. The Ice Storm is up. Seismic Crash coming soon, and Midnight soon following.
And the question, well, will continually be, how many of those are going to be worth using, right? And how much do you want to go for the defense? 2 minutes left. Payload's not gotten too far forward. So you're still in a prime position as Na'Vi to just stop this in its tracks, especially with Spunky and Mutu playing the way they are. I mean, Mutu going and getting a double kill. He has been incredibly consistent on this Maeve.
He has been, and really it begs the question of whether you should just take this character away from him at this point, or if you really just let him keep going on a tear. Really, in this case, Mutu taking the higher ground with the rest of his team in his position. Holding this bridge is extremely important. You have a lot of angles to hit them from. They don't have as many as they can hit you from, so really it's a matter of positioning. Mittal moves in, gives a little bit of healing to the Barrack. Sadak, you see him going around a little bit, trying to get a flank going, but going with someone in this case. Barrack is going all the way around in the back. Hold that little bridge through time and space to come through. No one really finds its mark, and in that case, everyone else is pretty much free.
Well, there's going to be the kill onto Spunky, though, and that, honestly, just getting rid of the support, not only is that important to cut off their healing, but it's always a good way to start the fight. It makes it a little more difficult for Mutu to go on a rampage, although it's not stopping him. Sadak finally does eliminate him, but they're so low in their health bars. I mean, even with the healing they have behind them, you're kind of spread thin right now if you're SSG, and Na'Vi are just going to respawn about 20, 30 feet away from you.
Right, exactly. That's probably why I didn't really feel a need to try and contest or hold on literally any longer. They are right next to them. At this point, you're pushing into their base. They're going to be back just as fast. Defender's advantage to make sure they can get there quick enough. And the Inflame once again comes out. Make sure they can try and get this little fight started. Daggers are coming through from Mutu. He bounces right off the top of Barrack's big old head. And in that case, he is able to force him to back off.
With 10 seconds left, forcing him to back off is pretty much the best case scenario here. Phoenix is a little precariously low. Ninu taking a bomb there as well. And that's the other big thing here. Well, as the defense comes through, just no one's going to touch. But Eevee against Bomb King is one of the more difficult Eevee matchups, only because she can be two-tapped by those bombs. And usually you're looking at it, well, in this case, as it always is, with the Luminary behind it, which means that maybe Cassie is in that conversation all of a sudden. Or not Cassie, I mean, sorry, the Maeve, the Eevee, both going to be in there. You're going to have Furia in there. Yeah, lazy Phoenix, they're going to live through 2 bombs, but it's a just dangerous game to be playing. And the longer that goes on, especially with Cauterize starting to come online, the more that damage stays, right? The healing's not going to be able to burst it back up. So Freeze God gets more potent, I think, as time continues than we're going to see out of Na'Vi. They need to kind of foot to throat fast here to stop SSG. Otherwise, it might get out of their hand.
Bomb King already at the top of the damage charts. In this case, we see Mutu and Eevee are both trying to do what they can, but he does manage to grab Mutu, throws him right into the lava. Another kill comes out for Ares, meaning that they end up getting the kill onto Ninu in this case. A few crossbow bolts here and there. Lazy looking pretty low, bounces him right out of the way of that wall to make sure that he is in range for the rest of his team.
So I mentioned Bomb King versus the flanks. I glanced over big game Cassie with Luminary versus the tanks. Like, you have pretty much an answer for everything. I mean, Bomb King is going to be able to take care of 3 of those champions incredibly well on Na'Vi. And then the 2 tanks, your Ashe and your Inara, are going to get big gamed to death before they can really accomplish too much. And in the event Ares isn't hitting his shot, then Freeze God starts to play an application of that. And you see it right here. I mean, there's going to be a King Bomb immediately into the Assert Dominance.
Ice Storm comes all the way through, and then in this case, Freeze God ends up getting the kill. Spunky finds one on the Rachel, though, with the Inflame backing everybody up on the team. They get the kill on the FRZ God. They get the kill on the Sadak. Spunky clean it up with a triple kill, and in this case, it's going to net Natus Vincere their point, and their second one at that on Splitstone.
Really good angle coming down from Ninu, where he got to up on the balcony, where we've been watching Ares sit this entire time. Gave him more control than SSG were prepared for. And it's those moments, I mean, we were talking about it, and I was mentioning it going into Stone Keep, but Ares has, I want to say, 3 to 4 champions, right? He's got his Cassie, his Leon, his Tyra, and his Mei. Some of them are a little better than others, but when it comes down to it, those are the 4 that he's kind of been a staple on. But if he misses the mark even slightly, if Ninu goes in and just has a good matchup against him,
Oh my goodness.
then all of a sudden you're set up perfectly. I mean, Mutu comes in, gets 3, Ninu's finding the other ones. Like, this is Na'Vi fully functional, all cylinders firing.
Yeah, this is their peak. Meanwhile, that make the one Dragon Ball reference it is that I can. SSG sell Natus Vincere, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan in this case, making sure that he's trying to do what he can to beat them, but it's not going to be enough. Lazy does go down, though. That's the start of something, but Spunky, man, cleaning it up, making sure he can get FRZ God. Sadak goes down again. Double kill for the man on the support. Gives Phoenix a little bit more healing. Ice Storm drops as well, keeping everybody alive. Rachal's left, so is Ares. Forces the Dome Shield on the side. It's going to be really, really hard for them to try and counteract this since his back's literally to the wall.
Ninu being able to get out of that. I mean, he was ice blocked like 1 shot away. Blink going to be able to heal him a little bit. Ninu finally does get taken down, but Rachal was found in return. Spunky has been watching Vex's videos or something because he is playing in a very similar style, very aggressive, and he's finding all the kills. We're almost watching this be won by the support player.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy, the amount of shots it is that he's hitting. A double kill for Phoenix. They're really just re-giving them ult charge at this point. A triple kill for him in this case. What was a double turned into a triple. Spunky, the man, leading with a triple kill to not only net them the point, but leading with several kills, lots of stuns, plenty of healing. And what can I say about that except for Spunky literally won them that entire round? Literally, I mean, he did everything.
Triple kill here at the end with the Inflame coming through, followed by, what, double kills, triple kills towards the end as well. Like, it's one of those things. We talk about supports heavily when their healing numbers are insane. We'll talk about it more when they do that. Mr. Hayes, Vex, Spunky are on my list right now for Furias that are frightening when it comes down to it. I mean, 9-2 and 13, 38,000 damage. He's got 20,000 more damage right now than you're seeing out of Mitao, and that's 20,000 damage that SSG just doesn't have.
Right.
Maybe you find that and make it up somewhere else. You look at the difference between the Bomb King and the Eevee. Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, he's 9-2 and 13. He's finding finishing blows. He's eliminating players. So you have to do something to deal with the Fury. She becomes a higher priority target.
Oh boy, he's coming in trying to do what he can. Gets the stun. Jeez,
Dump enough ults in the Lazy?
That's what I was about to say. He does actually use it through time and space. They find the damage on him, and the funny part is that didn't even kill him. It had to be Bomb King to finish him off. FRZ God making sure he can dust his hands off, clear his conscience of that one. And in this case, 74% on the point for SSG. Along with the overpower, they get Lazy. My goodness.
I mean, they're doing anything and everything to stop him from existing this round. As it still doesn't end up working out too much. There's going to be Phoenix just showing off the tech so perfectly, being able to stay inside of his cert dominance field. It's not going to last forever, though, and ultimately that goes down. So does his health bar.
Yeah, Nino just saw just a little bit. Causes the overtime. Blinks in, soars over once again.
Can you do it a third time?
The Inflame comes out as well. Rachal's looking pretty low. So is Phoenix in this case. Lazy is back on the point, but he's eating too much damage from a lot of these folks. The big game is going to be a lot. Mutu trying to see if he can get something really with the kill. Wasn't enough. Dodge roll right in. Make sure they get the zone.
All right, I'm just taking inventory here. King Bomb.
Right.
Used on Lazy. Through time and space, used on Lazy. Overpower, used on Lazy. He ate 3 that round. That 2 and 9 is going to be misleading. They needed to get rid of that Inara, and that is all they focused on. And it still didn't quite win them. Like, that alone wasn't enough. They needed to win the fights on the side. Mutu and Ninu kind of getting forced to play the role of touch. Ended up forcing them into an unfortunate position for them. They get burned down. And while their slash lines are still clean, it definitely didn't help them kind of continue their role. Right now, though, things are now starting to get out of hand.
Ooh, the bombs are throwing away. In this case, FRZ God is just tossing them one after the other, keeping them zoned in their spawn just a little bit. 1:35 still available on the clock at this point. Well, really, 1:30 now at this point. Mutu getting some daggers, throwing them every now and again, but Ares himself is able to land a few crossbow bolts, puts Mutu in the dirt.
Couple of shots there. Phoenix burns down, and, well, Lazy. I don't expect any ults to fly at you, but they're definitely going to be pouring the damage in. This payload's very close to converting, and they're barely stopping it here if you're Na'Vi.
Well, now that Lazy's dead, I really don't think they can stop it at this point. It is pushed successfully. You saw the words up there. Now we're looking at 3-3, and this is interesting because, once again, I've said it twice already. Third time's a charm, right? SSG was not playing to form like this yesterday. They were coming out of months after not practicing, and immediately after that, they didn't do so hot yesterday. Now they're coming in. Now they're looking really, really good. And that's not to try and diminish the fact that SSG is not a good team, because they are. They play extremely well. They play to their strengths. They play the characters that they want to play, despite us not having seen Bomb King in a while. And they're making it work. Look at this. 3-3 against Natus Vincere.
I'm sure, honestly, we could ask them, and they'd probably say something along the lines of, it's like riding a bike, right?
Right.
I mean, they hadn't played for a while. They've played individually, and they've had, like, some pairings and stuff, but they haven't been able to scrim as a team. But at the end of the day, this is a team that has been prominent in the PPL for over a year, and I have a strong feeling that, well, this is the showcasing reason of why. They are adaptable. They learn fast. They learn on the fly. They are one of the most adapting teams. The question is whether or not they can keep that up now that they don't have a comeback mechanic, though.
Through time and space. Mental trying to use it really as more so an execute than anything. He was saving it for a very long time despite knowing where a few of the individuals were, but you already see them. They're swarming them, making sure SSG does not get any room to breathe in this case. Tries to die. Rachao ends up getting staggered as well. Sadak making his way back to the point as slowly as as fast as he possibly can. I say as slowly because Khan's a big boy. He's pretty healthy. He's pretty hefty boy. He's not going to make it back to point as fast as some of the others are. FRZ God goes down. Sadak goes in. They get the kill on Nino. They get the kill on Phoenix. But such a good walk. That's what I'd like to see, Na'Vi. That was good. That was really, really good. I like to see that. You love to see it.
And it's, again, perfect wall, perfect position from Lazy, who just got knocked off the high ground. He wasn't even supposed to be down there.
Right.
And able to find the wall. Body blocks then come through as they kind of trade out spaces and put Lazy on the objective. They capture it. They put themselves up 3-1. Na'Vi, all around, that was played really well. I think SSG showcase, again, on Serpent Beach and on this map, why they are so strong. Even Brightmarsh, I'm going to have to give them that because that's the month they won.
Right.
Looking at these three, it's historically maps that they're very good on, and you're seeing they still have it. They just have to catch up on the other maps to be able to kind of seal the deal.
Well, we'll have to see right after this break if they can indeed seal the deal.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
Well, another close one, but this time it goes the way of Na'Vi on Splitstone Corey, bringing the series score to 3-1. Now just one game away from taking that first place spot here in the PPL and moving one step closer to a first seed at HRX. Lots of fun to look at there, Nick. The double flank blaster composition was sort of what we highlighted in picks and bans. Looked pretty good that time around.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of mobility here, and that can really, do you well on Splitstone Core.
Yeah.
One of the most intense, I would say, right up there with Serpent Beach, where you need to have some up-down potential to really get yourself going. But the consistent damage amp of Genos really did give Space Station Gaming a fighting chance here. They won a lot of fights.
I mean, 105K for FRZ is topping the game by about 15K. And the next highest is his teammate, 89,000. Yeah, Spunky, 60K damage.
That's so much.
That's higher than Sadat on the opposite side. 9-4-16. He has Mike whispering in his ear throughout all of this.
Do it.
Do it,
Spunky.
You had a triple kill to boot in this one. Lots of fun to watch. Tough game from Lazy, honestly. We had 3-11-11 under duress from FRZ pretty much that entire game. But we said his name, 9-4-16 for the man himself, Spunky on Furia.
For sure, man. He was the savior of a lot of these team fights, coming ripping in with Enflame and then being right there in the trenches, shoulder to shoulder with his friends.
Got the flicks, too.
I mean, this is decent range for a support to be crushing people for 400 a shot. Did it really here, too. This push was huge from Spunky. Getting out a lot of clutch heals, but this is where you start to butter your bread and get that 60K damage. You have to stay involved the entire time. Normally we see supports, obviously dependent on the game length, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 30K, and he is absolutely involved in the majority of these fights. And part of that is if you don't have any mobility to get to that backline, Spunky is allowed to move a little bit more free-flowing and position more aggressively and not need to worry about getting dove.
The end of that push was just an onslaught. I mean, back and
that
forth,
was
Spunky
really
double. I mean, that was chaotic,
brutal.
all in favor of Na'Vi. SSG blown off the map that time around. And I think that's something that's been missing from Furia a little bit today. Genos, a huge win rate. It's really been Genos Furia on the opposite side. I believe set one, it was all Genos, except maybe one outlier. That offensive presence is so much, I think, of what Furia brings, and that's really the first good example of it I think we've seen today.
Yeah, man, she hits incredibly hard, and it's a very fast-charging ultimate. You actually see a decent amount of Furia players, Spunky included here. He did end up making it to Chronos 3, but it's a pretty easy transition to go morale boost as well, and given the hit scan nature of her weapon, makes it very consistent. You're able to get a lot of extra ultimate charge that way if you're playing as aggressively as Spunky was doing, and it's based off of the amount of damage you're doing, right? So if you're closer to this fight, each bullet is going to be worth more to you. So when he's able to play as aggressive as he was, more Enflames means more team fight wins, more damage, yada yada, positive feedback loop.
Sure.
Spunky gets the game that he just had.
That's right, and you'll take that every single day if you're a fan of Na'Vi or if you're Na'Vi themselves. Interestingly enough, that was the first game in this set that SSG were able to play Genos. They've had either Damba,
that's surprising,
Ying, Furia, across the board, except for that last game. And the question was kind of, well, maybe Na'Vi are kind of forcing them into it. Maybe they're trying to get them into the Genos. And it works out this time around. I mean, I don't think the Genos was the downfall of SSG by any means, but 0 for 1 here on Genos, which kind of raises the question, which direction do you go if you're SSG? It's not an automatic win, apparently, for SSG on Genos. Fish Market it is. Not a map I was expecting to see here. Not banned out, but Fish Market certainly on the docket.
Yeah, man, this could be a good way for Space Station to go about taking down Na'Vi. There's starting to be a little bit of a reputation there, obviously, with the meme of losing worlds on this map. That type of stuff doesn't stay the same for long. Strix is going to take a seat immediately. I think that's probably a smart way to go. This is Space Station's pick, obviously losing Splitstone Quarry. They get to choose where we head next, and they're going to sit Strix down, maybe looking to spice up not only the map picks, but the draft as well.
Not only do I love seeing Fish Market, I love seeing Strix starting to draw some bans just because of how much fun, honestly, Strix players I think have been having over the last couple of days. The presence and the ability of that champion seemingly on every map. I thought there were a few maps reserved for snipers, but players like Mutu proving me wrong that he can kind of work anywhere, obviously some better than others, but nonetheless not going to get played here on Fish Market. He's banned out as well as Makoa. Nothing too interesting there. As we move into this, I keep my eyes on what healer SSG choose to go. Their one win in this set was in Game 2, and they had Maldamba on their side. Damba's kind of been in a weird spot healer-wise. And Genos, who seemed like an automatic win for most of these teams over the last couple of days. Not so much for SSG in that last one. We have seen some triple DPS as well here on Fish Market.
Gonna keep picking the con, it would seem. And that would land Phoenix most likely back on the Ash, but again, Ruckus still viable, still strong on this map. Both he and Ash have the ability to kind of move around this map rapidly.
Okay.
Banstrix take Maeve, putting a little pressure on Mutu, it would seem. Could end up playing something like the Leon. Perhaps a Willow. It needs to be looked at as well for Na'Vi, but a lot of powerful frontliners still open. They're going to grab both of the orange and gold aggro tanks, and if you look to get something going with them.
Nothing else, they got color synergy on their side. The off-tank aggression from Na'Vi leaves a little bit of something to be feared if you're SSG. Kind of flip-flop from last time around. SSG, or Na'Vi, excuse me, going Con first, Willow, or I'm thinking Eevee Maeve for Na'Vi last time around, then Con Barrack on the opposite side. So throughout the set, the teams have almost been trading double damage for double off-tank in their first couple of picks. SSG going to give the Genos one more try here. Certainly still within the realm of triple DPS on the left side of the screen over there, and then that's something that a couple of teams have tried. Some have succeeded, some have failed. But definitely within the wheelhouse for SSG here. Na'Vi will still have that last flex pick open, so I think that's important to consider if you're Space Station Gaming here. Depending on what you pick, there might be a counter pick waiting for Na'Vi.
Mutu is a very, pretty flexible guy, just because he plays a lot of the game. Leon, Cassie, those are the two things we're looking at. If you want to put together a 3 DPS comp for SSG, you need one of the two picks. If you're still interested in going Willow as Na'Vi, then Leon is what you want to take away. Right now, SSG don't have a lot of great things to contest Willow, but at the same time, it's not exactly easy for Willow to track down any of, Eevee flying around, blinking around, or Maeve challenging her up in the sky either. You really want to be shooting down onto those targets. Some of the higher mobility options currently drafted for SSG. They get the Barrack as well, man. This is all signs pointing to 3 DPS. Cassie is still available. Sadak wills it. There's nothing else really jumping out at me unless he wants to go for a Ruckus or something.
Right.
Which could be an option.
Any merit to maybe a Tyra for your double damage amp? I guess not, if they're going to go Ruckus anyway.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, again, like what can Sadak or what would Sadak want to play in a 3 DPS.
True. Good point to bring up. It's going to be the Ruckus, regardless of what speculation may have us leaning. Barrack as well rounds out SSG. So no triple DPS this time, but definitely double flank with the Maeve and Eevee. Genos to provide a little bit of extra damage amplification for the boys on the SSG side. Backs against the wall, looking to escape this week with at least one win under their belt, trying to avoid going 0-3 in their first 3 games back. I was envisioning Tyra. The crystal ball was a little foggy. I saw it on the SSG side. I mean, I wasn't at all looking at Tyra. I think it was maybe. I'm not following that. I was so ready to hype myself up. It's Cassie instead who it really was the entire time that I was seeing in the crystal ball. Leon, Cassie, Furia, Ash, Khan for Na'Vi. SSG, of course, Maeve, Eevee, Genos, Ruckus, Barrack. 2 pretty strong lineups here.
Yeah,
do you favor one over the other?
Rock solid. And Na'Vi, I think there is very little, room for them to mess this up. This is just very kind of back to basics composition from them. They have the perfect 2 frontliners to make room for this Leon and this Cassie, man. I got my chips on them.
Yeah, I mean, Leon, Cassie, going to be able to hit some good shots on Maeve, Eevee, a little bit of wrecker for that Ruckus. Signs maybe point to Na'Vi, and they're going to win it if they win this one.
Tell you what the signs weren't pointing to. That emoji pick that they decided to hover and then immediately break my heart by going Cassie in this case. But it's okay. I'm not mad or anything. We're on Fish Market right now. This is Game 5. Natus Vincere currently 3-1 against SSG. They have plenty of potential. Close this out. I agree with Nick. I like their team comp. There's very little room to mess up.
The biggest issue will be how long you can stand on the point versus the Barrack. But it's Fish Market, so all of the classic rulings that you might think of matchups really do kind of fall out of the window. The only one that truly will stand is Leon versus Flanks. She tends to just best them, and I expect to see that coming through here from Na'Vi. It's going to be interesting, though. I mean, Sadak is on his signature
Right.
champion when it comes down to Ruckus. And again, Fish Market, it's a weird one. It's a wily one as well for a lot of these teams. Either whether you pick it or not, it can fall out of your favor very fast.
Oh, Sadak going a little bit two-hand. Whoa, slow down there, partner. You shouldn't be pushing him like that. Immediately gets picked off of just out of the game for a brief second. Ares lands the daggers, but my goodness, give everybody a second. You saw fast he ended up pushing that man. In this case, he should have been a little bit more careful. Does get picked off, unfortunately for him. 24% for Navi. They're looking pretty good, but Lazy has to back off too. What's happening?
Well, you know how when you fire for a long time as Ruckus, you start to hear him go. Yeah. Sadak just started the game doing that,
Yeah.
so he decided he needed to go in to get the fire. It was definitely very aggressive. Ultimately, I guess kind of paid off since they're in control of the objective, although it wasn't necessarily off of his back that worked. The tanks are going to be getting aggressive for Chow
my
here.
goodness,
Maybe
dude.
too far forward as they are once again overextending here and just being enveloped by the sharks that are Na'Vi.
Literally seems like a fight. And again, this is like deja vu. This kill feed almost just happened. The Ice Storm goes down from SRZ God. They do get the kill onto Spunky. They don't have a healer. That's pretty huge, but I don't know why both teams are just running at them like each other like that. I literally am at a loss for words. They're literally, both of them are playing really aggressive, but Navi they have to wait. They aren't really, Navi doesn't have a team like that without Inflame.
Is Fish Market, and this is the most Fish Market-y fish Market I've ever felt. It's just
Okay.
they're playing team deathmatch, and there just happens to be a map
Yeah.
with an objective on it around as they come through. Unfortunately for Navi, they weren't able to get in. And again, it's not just contesting the barrack on the objective; it's contesting the barrack under duress from Maeve and Eevee with a Luminary behind them. It's just a lot of poke damage that they're able to get from Space Station that Navi weren't able to answer back. They were too focused on different fights.
The kill onto Rachel, the kill onto Sadak. It's going to be looking pretty good for Navi in this case. Spunky killing the support in response to that. A couple crossbow bolts coming out from Ninu, which is interesting. Don't normally see him on the Cassie. They normally try and give the blasters to him, but at the same time, though, I understand the Cassie, I understand the Leon, why they have both of these damage dealer picks. The Inflame is, I was about to say Enlightenment, but Assert Dominance coming up soon after that, along with Scout already there, and he uses it almost immediately to make sure they can get the kill on a Sadak. He tries to skedaddle out of there, but it's a little bit too late because Inflame is already in the middle of the fight. Midtown and Ares find kills onto both Ninu and Spunky, both respectively, but Phoenix gets a kill, Mutu gets a kill, and now we're looking at Midtown going down in this case, pushing the payload. Wait just a little bit, tries to get the healing up, does get it, and now he's down. 1:10 on the clock.
Inflame, having just been used, is going to be taking a little while to recharge. Lazy, I don't think got the memo as to where his team was, is fighting way far forward. I love the aggressiveness, though. It's a good zone, and it's going to be able to kind of keep them in control. He needs to charge that Assert Dominance back anyway, so it's going to be worthwhile. Same thing goes down for the Overpower that's going to be sitting at 79% right now. 45 seconds left. They haven't hit the hardest part, although I would argue that they're definitely in the kind of like the no man's land of the push right now for SSG. So even if they're able to get back to the payload, it's not going to be the easiest matchup.
Sure, Rocket's coming out, man. Ninu just gets bursted, but Sadak looking extremely low. He is a little bit by himself. They get the kill on the Lazy, but Spunky trading out their healer for Lazy's life is going to look pretty good for Natus Vincere in this case. The damage is coming through on a Sadak. Spunky gets a kill on him. Mutu looking extremely low. How is he alive for so long? He actually just keeps getting shot over and over, and he just lives within an inch of his life. Now, Sadak looking for something to try and get some damage onto that Eevee, forces him off of their healer, off of Spunky. Blinking in, blinking out, getting a few of these shots here, but nothing too concrete except for the 2 kills that just happened. And Ninu getting the kill on FRZ God. That's definitely a start you want to have.
Well, good shots right there coming down from Ninu as they're going to look to knock this one out of the park. I mean, overtime not necessarily meaning anything this far away from conversion. And so they're going to be able to just chill on that one. As, I mean, so much happened that round. And the biggest thing that is on my mind, I think, coming into the second round will absolutely revolve around how much Wrecker Ninu has.
Yeah.
And because of that, how much he's going to be able to kind of gear himself against Ruckus versus potentially maybe if he's gone cauterized, it's specifically to shut down Freeze God and Ares. So he has kind of two paths in front of him. Choose your own adventure, and we'll have to see where he goes with it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We have to see in these next 5 seconds what the deal's going to be, Tom. And Finch just walked by, just gave us the subtle nod. Well, more than one subtle nod in that case about the fact they're currently leaving. But that doesn't mean anything whatsoever. I'm down to see some good old-fashioned Paladins. This is absolutely wonderful. Through time and space is available. Inflame comes through. The overpower is used. Barry, he didn't throw him fast enough because of the fact that Sadak literally ran right in his face and ended up utilizing that Hexifier to make sure they got something. But Mitau, they just left the poor man alone. He's 250 health, goes down. Ninu, Mitau, Ninu and Lazy find the kills they need. Ares and Freeze God try and clean it up, try and make it more of a winnable fight, but there are too many people that are down on SSG's side.
Freeze God trying to do anything and everything he can, but Eevee doesn't have the health bar to be able to get out there and do what he's trying to do. The damage numbers were there, but he needs to be able to stay alive in the process. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't garnish too much on the objective. 30%. Not a huge lead for Na'Vi. Very easy to knock down. And it depends on where they use some of these ults on the side and whether they connect. That one threads the needle between members of Na'Vi. So it's up to Freeze God to potentially clean them up.
That's for
Oh, that's
sure.
a kill.
Oh, that's Heaven has to be a kill in this case, but nice. Oh! What? Wait a minute. That was the coolest dodge roll I've ever seen before. That was so cool from Ninu. This man's a monster. I don't think we give him enough credit. We talk about him all the time, but my goodness. That dodge roll saved his life right there.
He knows what's up. He sees that ice
He
block
does.
and he's like, all right, there's only one way I'm walking out of this one. And he
And it's alive in this case.
Yeah, slips his juke shoes on and makes sure that those shots are not going to connect. He knew what he was getting into, and he managed to dodge throughout all of it. Impressive from there. And it's
Yeah.
left him in this position again. Now with the record that he's got online, Ruckus, it's a little harder for Sadak to be as aggressive as he wants. Midnight, though, coming through. Might be able to get some ground here for SSG.
Overpower
but
comes
well,
through. Oh, annoying Ares. Trying to make sure they get rid of him.
Yeah, see ya.
Yeah, I mean, they let the overpower. Oh, nice commander's grab, though. They get the stun. They have to die. Phoenix to make sure they get the kill. Nino is down as well. But the rest of them are so ready. The shield to go down from Lazy to buy himself a little bit more time. Shoulder bash, try and get out. Not going to be enough. They have to go in to touch. 99% for Natus Vincere at this point. Rachao going back to the point in this case. And Spunky's getting so many shots off. He has to go to the point now. Mutu tries to turn around to see if he can get a hit. He does on Rachao. And, I mean, man, oh man, dude. Like, this is going either way right now. It's so close.
Lazy going to be able to come in and get the touch as well. I mean, they're just keeping it going. They're throwing bodies at it, but it's working right now. Lazy
Lazy!
in overtime, going to be able to come through, but they're lucky. Saved by the bell, able to touch down. It's still 99 to 99.
Holy, my goodness, dude. Lazy's still alive. He goes down. The overtime timer is done.
Jeez.
It nets them the point. They wanted it so bad. I was so afraid that the commander's grabbed to make sure
Phoenix,
they kill. No, it's
Phoenix
okay,
is
it's
like
okay.
holding 30 shots, and he's like, you got to come out of that ice block sometime.
Eventually, he's going to get his kill. He found his day. In this case, Phoenix does net it. We do see that FRZ guide is at the top of the charts right now in terms of damage. So, I mean, that's looking really, really good for him. He's been popping off really just this entire set. It's kind of phenomenal play that you see from him. Dome Shield, man. Oh man. They want some kills. They're looking out for some blood. The Inflame to be used defensively so the rest of them can try and move in to get Rachao off of their Ash, off of Lazy in this case.
I'm just trying to save face, save space, keep Lazy alive for a little bit. Unfortunately, it's just not been the case for him and Phoenix. I mean, this is the biggest issue coming in with this draft. They have a lot that works for them. They have no point presence. They just melt too fast as it stands.
Yeah.
The bonus damage that comes down from Maeve, Meltstone, the Luminary on top of the Eevee just is too much to handle. And this time around, the push is going incredibly different from SSG. They're coming downhill, and this is where the fight shifts in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, they've already made it past the crest. Oh my goodness, I saw the presence from off screen. Ends up sniping Rachao. 1:05 left. Ares, dude, like him and Freeze God have been doing so well throughout this entire match. Evie has to skedaddle away, make sure she doesn't actually get picked off in this case. And really, Na'Vi just have to hold their ground. In this case, though, I definitely wouldn't try and consider using my ultimates this late in the game, because next round, next point fight is going to be extremely huge.
40 seconds left. That's the kind of like the light bulb coming online, right? Do we go in and ult? Do we not go in and ult? We can convert this easily if you decide as SSG to drop one of these ults. I mean, Ice Storm you can kind of throw out there and not maybe stress about.
Right.
But it does come down to where is Genos going to land. Through time and space isn't necessary.
Oh,
well, with Mitao, he's not going to stand at all. He's going to get melted down. Ninu finds some really good shots.
Yeah, they definitely are finding their mark here. Another good crossbow bolt onto FRZ God. FRZ God just trying to make his way around, but Mutu manages to clean it up, man. This game is so close. But here's what I'm more so interested in. The fact that Natus Vincere have all 5 of their ultimates up. If they plan this well, here's what I'm going to do. I don't often do this, but I'm going to give just a statement. I'm just going to guess real quick. So I'm going to guess that because the scores are so close together, that I feel like personally they're going to try and wrap around as a team and try and destroy their backline, then try and have a point fight presence. That's just me.
Yeah.
I personally believe that.
I can see that being able to come through. The question is how well they can execute it if they do opt for that path. And this is that moment. I mean, we're 12 minutes in to game 2, 2-2. And all I can think of right now is a conversation with Metapusher at one point where he was just saying that they had a scrim at one point. It was a 4-0 on this map. It lasted 18 minutes.
Wow.
So Fish Market can absolutely pump the brakes and slow things down, which I believe, honestly, is kind of what SSG want.
Right.
They'd love to be able to just find the next, point conversion in this 4-2 and move on to the next map. But just being able to kind of keep Na'Vi handled has been big for them. Even if they leave this week 0-3, depending on the rest of this game, I think they've made so many good changes just in this last 2 days.
They have. FRC God, man, he is doing so well. He's landing these shots. They have to use the dome shield to get him off a high ground, but Mutu already prepared for it. Ninu and the rest of Na'Vi trying to make their way back. All they used right now were the Inflame. Really, I could imagine the Overpower coming out as soon as he sees Bear try and round that corner. If he's in a good LOS and a good line of sight, Phoenix really just going around this corner trying to find to see if he can pick anybody, but
Threads the needle.
If that would have hit when he backdashed, when Ruckus backdashed, I would have lost my mind. That would have been the single coolest thing.
I think just a second too early there for Phoenix, so it ends up pulling the trigger and not wasting the ult. Does maintain a little bit to be able to kind of keep controlling, keep moving forward, but it's just back and forth. Na'Vi are the ones that go down the most. Sadak is incredibly low. Freeze God gets taken down. So Mitao, not necessarily last man standing, but it kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
Sadak getting healed up to full means they'll have 2 members of SSG standing on the objective.
57% onto the point. Big game is hit. It is active on that Ruckus for just a little bit longer. Does see it drops down the shield, trying to get some damage onto that Ruckus, forcing him all the way back. I can imagine a charge or something. They want to be able to get this aggression going. They're still in control of the percentages. They were waiting a little bit further back. You see that now. Barrick even wants a piece. He's in the back line trying to make sure that they can get the kills they need. Scout to come through. Sadak goes down thanks to Ninu, Spunky, Phoenix. All 3 of them find kills of their own. Mitao coming right around the corner is going to get picked off as well. Inflame steadily but slowly building over time. 87% onto the point. 90, 93, 96, and then a point is captured.
Being able to finally come through, Na'Vi find themselves for the first time this map in the driver's seat for the payload. And we've seen a lot of teams. I mean, you can defend all day, but when it comes down to this push, if you can stop it as SSG, you stay alive for another fight. If you can't, you get knocked out of the set and out of the week 0-3. A lot of pressure on them potentially perform right here. As they need to do something. This Cassie right now is running rampant. A good Void Grip going to lock him up, and Ninu unfortunately locked down.
He can't lock down in this case, or really look down. That's how I should be correcting myself in that scenario. Ares being directly below him, getting shot by both. Well, not getting shot by both, but getting shot by Ares in general. He actually goes right underneath the Cassie, throws some daggers up, calls it a day, and moves on. 1:40 still left on the clock. Spunky there to provide some healing, just a little bit. Inflame already used. Overpower is there, though. Point hasn't fully rounded that corner, hasn't even got to the hill yet. but we can still expect a lot. The overpower is there, the enlightenment as well. Lazy goes down though, and Aries getting a little bit too greedy through time and space to follow through, man. They want to be able to not only build these ultimates back up, which is why they use them so early, but they want these kills more than anything.
I mean, they are unrelenting right now.
Right.
This is a defense from SSG, and they are standing on the hill just outside of the base for Na'Vi. Nope, all dismounted here for Na'Vi. Lazy at half health. Gonna be difficult to get back, I'll be honest. They don't have the flanks to really maneuver. If they had an Eevee or a Mave, they could potentially go over the roof on one side or around one side, potentially land and try to get some backdoor push. But they've got nothing. They got to do it the old-fashioned way. They just have to break down the wall that SSG have built up and push through.
Oh, yeah, the big game damage coming out onto Sadak. They do find the kill on the Lazy. Mid-tower's looking really, really low, though. Of course, Musu there and the rest of Na'Vi. Make sure they capitalize on that. Chow getting staggered. That's going to be pretty huge. FRZ got still just spawned along with the Ruckus Mave, and then mid-tower is going to end up spawning while Barrick's got a few more seconds on him. A few shots here and there. Overpower is ready. The question is, are they going to try and use everything for this fight?
8, 7.
I mean, almost all 10 ults charged. Still waiting, like you said, for Lazy's. 1 second left. Overtime's going to come through. I don't anticipate seeing anything
Neither do I.
for another 30% of the push, though. That's really when we might have something come out from Na'Vi. But until they feel confident that they can convert, they're not going to even hint at one. But a kill right there is going to open it up. Chow is incredibly low. They get the dome shield. That's a big win, even if they don't burn it down. But that record is helping knock those shields away.
Yeah, you already see the push happening. Just like, man, it's just like SSG were unrelenting. Chow tries to move his way.
This might be it.
Yeah, this might actually be it. The overpower, though, is missed. So that might actually be something, a start for SSG to make it in. But they can't. Like, look who's still down. 3 ultimates are there. Enlightenment to try and snipe FRZ God. Forces the ice block and mistimes the presence, but they do get him. Sadak looks low as well. Lazy slams down with the Space Jam. Natus Vincere making it 4-1 in a very intense set.
Once you break off over that hill, it starts to go in favor of the aggressor. And whoever's pushing it is able to close it out. It wasn't the 4-0 that Mike was stouting earlier, but it was a 4-1 and beautifully executed towards the end. They get into the fishbowl at the tail end of it. And while some of the ults miss, some connect, at the end of the day, they do what they need to do. And I would also say SSG didn't get the win.
Right.
They looked damn good losing.
Yeah, they looked incredibly good. For the 4th and final time I'll say this today, SSG not playing like this yesterday. Now this is looking pretty scary, pretty terrifying for a team that hasn't practiced in a while. They're able to come back. They're able to make their rounds, do their damage, play their game, play some good old Paladins. And at the end of the day, they still lost, but they still are an extremely good team.
And honestly, it's just heightens the anticipation for what we're going to see out of them. Now they have their home, they have their computers, they're set up. They're going to spend that time kind of scrimming, getting back on page. Every week when they come in, I expect we're just going to see leaps and bounds above what we've seen this week. And even just from today, from yesterday, we've seen leaps and bounds. So it's nothing but up from here.
Well, one thing we're going to do is we're going to leap right back to the desk, and let's see what they have to say about the matter.
Appreciate it, fellas. And I said going into that, if they win this one, they win. And they won, so they won that one. I mean, I'm not wrong. When I'm right, I'm right. And I'm right this time around. Big win for Na'Vi on Fish Market. They seal this one up. A little bit of life from SSG. Na'Vi today, though, aside from that one slip up in map number 2, they didn't really look like they were going to be stopped today.
Yeah, man, definitely a solid performance from both teams, frankly. I was expecting much worse out here from Space Station Gaming. I think they have quickly shown us that their ability to ramp up. They lost to the Renegades yesterday, and now they're starting to put up a fight. 4-1. It's a dominant slash line or score line for Na'Vi, but Space Station certainly had the punches thrown in a couple of these maps along the way. A couple of big numbers for the boys of SSG as well. A couple of good fights even here in Fish Market, man. They did not make it easy on Na'Vi.
Well, I mean, in a set where, I mean, you have a 4-1, you have a 4-0. SSG won 4-1, but then you have 2 4-3s, a close one here on Fish Market to round things out. I mean, a 4-1 map line doesn't, I don't really think, do this series a whole lot of justice. Phoenix, though, at 18-7 and 21. Really started to take that aggressive off tank over. 7-14 and 15 for Lazy there. Normally on the aggressive point tank. Gets himself a little Ash play this time around, though. Let's take a look at Phoenix, though. See what he was able to do this time around. The Khan, one of his tried and true champions. It worked out very well for him this time around.
Yeah, played a lot of different stuff today, and this was finally back to basics for him. And for the majority of Na'Vi, this felt like a much more vanilla lineup. They weren't really trying to force too much. Earlier on in this phase, they were really trying to make 3 DPS happen, but like Fetch, it just wasn't going to happen. And Phoenix finds himself back on the front line here, and you kind of see why he builds the reputation that he does. When he's playing his favorite couple of characters, man, he just cannot be stopped.
Yeah, throw triple DPS for Na'Vi in the pile with Fetch and Coral from SpongeBob, I think is the word that was never going to happen that time around. Good week, though, from Na'Vi. You know, by and large, you look at yesterday, huge win over NIP. We'll get to the standings. We'll have an interview first, but post-day standings might be a different team on top.
Yep, that's right, man. This is going to be, a big moment, I think, for a lot of these teams in the leagues. NIP have to pick it up, get it together.
Right.
Getting hot at the right time is important, and they were hot all season long, so hopefully they can get some new fire burning before HRX.
Well, they get a 7-game set win yesterday, a 5-game set win here today. I'm sure they're feeling good, but don't take my word for it. Let's hear from them themselves.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on your 4-1 win. And the question is that I have for you right now is a lot of people see this as sort of SSG's return to form. We haven't seen them in a while. They show up now. And coming into this matchup, how did you guys feel fighting them? Did you feel like they were going to break out anything unexpected, or what was the thought process like playing them?
I think they adapted from yesterday. Like, they changed some of the picks from yesterday, which was a good decision by them. They're trying to catch up to the meta, and it's a process that we've been going through ourselves as well. It takes time to figure out. Luckily, we're both two teams trying to rebuild right now, so it was a good matchup for both of us. And I think they can keep their heads up high, even though they got a rough week. It takes time to get back into this meta.
So speaking of figuring out the meta and getting back into the meta, what happened on Bright Marsh? What was up with the double support? It's the only map that you dropped down, and you had Mutu playing Furia. Like, what was the kind of theory crafting, I guess, coming into that game?
I mean, personally, I had a different plan for that game, but we played Janus Furia before on Bright Marsh against NIP yesterday, and it felt really good. So Mutu called for the Janus Furia again. It's just something, he felt comfortable with. Yeah. Didn't quite work out. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
And sometimes you get, ulted nonstop. Lazy, I'm going to ask you this question. I mean, Splitstone Quarry was probably one of the maps we saw you get bullied on the most, although Fish Market, according to you, definitely felt your health bar dropping down. What was it like, I mean, going, I guess, toe-to-toe again against Richao, and how much you seem to get focused in this set?
It was actually very unexpected. I thought I would be very free in this game, and then it just felt like playing against VP again with Fish Echo on my back all the time. It was not only that, it was also the Serpent Beach, the EV, the collapse on me like several times. Yeah. It was really tough. I didn't expect it at all.
Well, you guys with this win have played the most sets, I think, out of everyone. You're climbing the standings as it happens, something that we haven't seen in a while. So I really want to know, I guess at the end of the day, how it's felt. Like, I mean, you lose creatives, you bring in Ninu, things have been changing for you, but you're still kind of on the rise as Na'Vi. You're looking a lot more like the team we saw that came through and won Worlds the year that you did, but obviously with changes since then, do you think you're going to be able to get a repeat?
Well, it's not necessarily a repeat since we've got second place last time. Losing creatives was rough. It's kind of a repeat, we're trying to repeat the Worlds Finals again, I guess. Ninu is just, he's a talented player and he's willing to improve and he listens well, and there's a lot that he can work on, and we're working on with him, trying to get him more in a competitive environment where, of course, he's played in the PML, he's played with VP, but there's just stuff, like the fundamentals of playing competitively and playing as a team that we are trying to improve on. Ninu is fitting in really well, and I think he will be a superstar by the time HRX comes around.
Quick question, final one, before we end up giving it right back to the desk. How does it feel knowing that you guys will soon be in the #1 spot, potentially?
We are in the #1 spot.
Oh, really? Right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
We have one more win.
I thought something, never mind.
But it feels great.
Feels great. Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, regardless of the fact, congratulations to you guys winning. Very, very well done by you guys. We're going to throw it right back to the desk to close us out.
Thank you.
You know what I'm scared of? They're saying Ninu's not even in his final form yet. They're saying that there's still growth to go, and if that's the case, he will be a superstar, as Phoenix puts it. The frontliners for Na'Vi talking to us there in the post-game interview. Lots to be said. The front lines this week, and looking back at today, the way the frontliners performed, crazy. Fun to watch the meta change around. But let's take a look back at the scores for today. A day of 4-2s, but 1-4-1 down there around the back. I think we only had a single 4-0 map-wise throughout today. A very contested day across the board. We thought Envy Knights might have been the longest, but some contests all across the board.
Definitely, man. It's a very, very competitive league right now, and that's really all you can ask for as a fan of Paladins. The uncertainty going into HRX makes for a very, very fun time, and it makes for not a single boring round throughout the placements. You're going to want to watch every single game along the way, and to finish out this split, there's a lot that could change, a lot that is up in the air.
Well, that looks different. No more Brown up at the top of the standings. Natus Vincere leapfrogging NIP. They're tied map plus minus. They do have one more game played, but they're in the driver's seat now. I mean, as long as, you continue to win and NIP, they'll try to keep pace. But Natus Vincere topping the standings, I think, for the first time since the PPL started. NIP slowing down a little bit. Envy right on their heels at 13-7, one win away, and then Virtus Pro starting to pick up some steam as well. That's a new look at the standings. I had to make sure to run down top to bottom. Do you think it's been this weird dynamic where Virtus Pro are kind of playing like the best team or seem to be the hottest team, but Na'Vi are now in the first place spot? How do you make sense of that top 4, top 5?
I think right now it really need to just kind of nail down consistency for Envy, whether they're really going to be that top 3, maybe even top 2 team, depending on how things go for the rest of the split. Because, frankly, they're the reigning world champions. They have a lot of weight on their shoulders. They still have that target on their back, and people are going to be coming for that hardware at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Well, we're about halfway through the second split of the PPL. Let's see what we got in store for you next week. Some standings surely changing. NIP are playing twice next week, so technically still a chance to leapfrog Na'Vi, and that's just going to be the case running down towards HRX. Whoever's playing the most games, whoever wins the most, they'll end up taking that first
Those are
place
winnable
spot.
games, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely winnable. Virtus Pro back in action twice. SSG looking to get a couple wins under their belt as well. That's a tough week, though, for SSG. I mean, you have this week, you lose all 3 of your starting games, then you go into Virtus Pro,
Welcome
you go
back,
into
idiots.
NIP. Yeah, welcome back into the league. It's a lot of fun to watch. Any particular matchups next week that your eyes are on?
I think for me, I would like to see the Knights versus Ninjas in Pajamas. That is technically, yes, by the standings, a winnable game for NIP, but the Knights, they've got something brewing, man. They gave Envy a pretty good fight today, and Envy are a damn good team as well, so I'd love to see what they can adjust and do against NIP, who is on the downswing at the moment. They're not looking so hot.
Technically the number 2 team. Well, it was a fun week of Paladins Premier League action. We see a new team atop the standings. Make sure to tune in next week, Thursday and Friday. Same time, same place. Actually, different time, 1 p.m. next week, since we got 2 games each day, to see if NIP are maybe able to take that top spot back. We do have the Paladins Console League for you back at 11 a.m. on Monday, so make sure to tune in for that. But until then, we'll see you next time.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Stay with me now, 'cause I'm